Welcome to Vintage Throne Stadium in Midhurst, Ontario for Game 3 between the Hamilton Cardinals and the Barrie Baycats. Patrick Melbourne, Chris Lazar, Sam O'Coin with you. We're on Rogers TV in Barrie and Cable 14 in Hamilton today as well. Before we get started, though, let's head up to the public address announcer's booth and hear from Rob Daniels, our PA announcer.
Everybody's coming today, so it'll be a good hit. Yeah. Evelina, my kids here running around, so they'll get together. Be a nice little.
Just about to get started here at Vintage Throne Stadium. Ben Rosen, the home plate umpire, talking to Dean Castelli and Josh Matlow. Rob Daniels ready on the mic. And everybody ready here at Vintage Throne Stadium for what should be a great Game 3. This series is tied at 1. And let's go up to Rob in the PA booth.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, and welcome to season number 22 of Barrie Baycats Baseball. This is Game 3 of the first round of the IBL playoffs between your Barrie Baycats and the visiting Hamilton Cardinals. Here are today's starting lineups. First for the visiting Cardinals, managed by Dean Castelli. Batting first and playing left field, number 25, Brandon Nicholson. Batting second, the center fielder, number 49, Quinn Cotton. Batting third in right field, number 5, Tyler Duncan. Batting fourth and playing catcher, number 14, Luis Bernardo. Batting fifth, the designated hitter, number 16, Dennis DeBanning. Batting sixth at first base, number 44, Tanner Rempel. Batting seventh at third base, number 21, Jacob Underwood. Batting eighth, the second baseman, number 6, Lane Renaud. Batting ninth, playing shortstop, number 41, Brendan Daly. And pitching this afternoon for Hamilton, number 47, Brett Lawson. And now, make some noise. Here's the starting lineup for your Barrie Baycats, managed by Josh Matlow. Batting first and playing center field, number 9, Canis Ejo. Batting second at shortstop, number 26, Adam Odd. Batting third, the left fielder, number 4, Starlin Rodriguez. Batting fourth, the designated hitter, number 27, Ryan Rio. Batting fifth, the first baseman, number 55, Hayden Jaco. Batting sixth, playing third base, number 8, Brenfi Infante. Batting seventh, the catcher, number 3, Carson Burns. Batting eighth, the right fielder, number 18, Avery Tuck. Correction, 17. And batting ninth, the second baseman, number 6, Kyle Maves. Pitching this afternoon for your Baycats, number 22, Jeffrey Nunez. The umpires for this afternoon's contest, calling the balls and strikes, we have Ben Rosen. Handling first base, Ryan Hern. At second base, Jamie Killingworth. And at third base, Ryan Jackson. Fans, we ask that you please rise, if you are able to, remove your caps. And joining us for the Canadian National Anthem this afternoon is Lisa Donnelly.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love, and all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north strong and free. From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Hey fans, we have a very special guest joining us for this afternoon's ceremonial first pitch. It's her second season with the Intercounty Baseball League, Barrie Baycats, contributing to the social media, as well as being one of our reporters and in-game host. So this past April, she worked with Hockey Canada at the Women's World Championships as the in-game host for the tournament. She will be returning back to Brock University this coming week to continue in her sports journey. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Kendra Doyle. Kendra, it's your pitch.
Kendra Doyle with our first pitch. That's our in-game host and a member of our Baycats media team. Happy to have Kendra on the squad. Second season that Kendra has been a part of our media team. So happy to have her as part of the team and our whole media team. And we are ready to go for Game 3 of the IBL postseason quarterfinal series between the Hamilton Cardinals and the Barrie Baycats. Patrick Melbourne here with you. Sam O'Coin is our reporter, and our analyst today in the booth is a very special guest. He is a former IBL pitcher, maybe future IBL pitcher again. We'll talk about that more as we get into the broadcast. We'd like to welcome Chris Lazar, host of the Inside Intercounty podcast. How you doing, Chris?
Good, man. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. Should be a good one. It's been a good series so far.
Has been an excellent series. Just looking back at how the series has gone so far, Barrie won 9-8 in Game 1. Frank Gar says he didn't have his sharpest stuff, but it was good enough to win for the Baycats. Game 2, Corbin Peters was excellent. 8 innings pitched, only 1 run on 5 hits, and nobody was hitting Corbin Peters yesterday. So the series is tied up at 1. Let's take a look at the Hamilton Cardinals starting lineup as we get started here today. It's mostly the same look, I think exactly the same look as Game 2. And pretty much the same look as we have seen all series long. Brandon Nicholson, the former Welland Jackfish, will lead things off playing left field. Then it'll be Quinn Cotton, the center fielder. Tyler Duncan, the right fielder, the home run champion of the 2023 regular season. Then Luis Bernardo, the impressive catcher. Dennis DeBanning, the designated hitter. Tanner Rempel, who is also a catcher for this team, playing first base today. Then Jacob Underwood, the third baseman, Lane Renaud, the second baseman, and the shortstop, Brendan Daly, who only joined the team in August but has been really, really impressive at the bottom of the order. Former Baycat Brett Lawson will pitch. We'll talk about him in a moment. But first, let's talk about the Baycats starting pitcher today. 25-year-old from Baneo in the Dominican Republic. It is Jeffrey Nunez, Chris.
Yeah, Jeffrey Nunez had a pretty good season for the Baycats, 4.36 ERA through 53 innings. One of the highest inning counts in the league. He's been a reliable pitcher for the Baycats. Pretty much been the number 2 behind Frank all season. They're going to need a good outing out of him if they want to take a lead in this series.
First pitch from Nunez is fouled away from Nicholson, and we are underway for Game 3. Glad to have you with us on Baycats TV, as well as Rogers TV in Barrie and Cable 14 in Hamilton. Hit to left field, and that will bounce off the fence. Nicholson's got himself extra bases. Throw to second is offline, and it's a stand-up double for Nicholson as we get started here. And that is how this game gets started.
Brandon Nicholson, one of the more aggressive hitters in the league. He's not going to walk a whole lot, but he's looking to hit the fastball. He got a fastball over the plate there and drilled it off the left field wall.
Let's take a look at the defense for the Barrie Baycats. Left to right in the outfield will be Starlin Rodriguez, Kenise Icho, and Kyle Maves. On the infield, it'll be Branfi and Fonte, then Adam Ott at shortstop, Avery Tuck at right field, then Maves at second base and Hayden Jaco at first. Carson Burns will be behind the plate doing the catching for Jeffrey Nunez. Count 1-0 to Quinn Cotton. Cotton 2 for 9 so far in the playoffs. And that is hit in the air, right center field. Moving over Ijo as well as Tuck. It'll be Tuck calling off Ijo. He makes the catch, tagging and going to third is Nicholson. He's getting in there without a throw. It's a sacrifice fly to bring the runner to third, one away.
And that's the exact kind of approach you want to see out of your two-hitter when your leadoff guy gets on second with a double. Just hit something to the right side, hit something in the air. Brandon Nicholson's got good speed, so it doesn't take much to move him over to third base. Now they got Tyler Duncan, their best hitter, and quite frankly, one of the best hitters in the league at the plate, trying to drive him in, take an early lead.
He's an MVP candidate. Led the league in home runs in the regular season, as we mentioned. In a run-producing situation here, lefty hitter against the righty pitcher, Nunez. Pitch outside. Home plate umpire today, Ben Rosen. First base, Ryan Hern. Second base, Jamie Killingsworth. Third base, Ryan Jackson. Ben Rosen, you were a pitcher, Chris Lazar. What was it like pitching to Ben Rosen's strike zone?
If I'm being completely honest, it wasn't the most fun time. He had a pretty small zone at the time. He's expanded it a little bit more recently, but he has caused some frustrations in the past in terms of being inconsistent and things of that nature. We're certainly hoping that that isn't the case today.
1-1 to Duncan. Multiple games rained out on Thursday means we have a busy schedule this weekend in the IBL for the playoff picture. A bunch of Game 3s are going to get going before the Game 1s. Left center field. This one has distance to it. Ijo back at the wall. It's gone. Tyler Duncan does it again, and it's 2-0 Hamilton. What a shot.
And that right there is just a great example of what makes Tyler Duncan such an elite hitter. He's willing to take whatever the pitcher gives him, and he can drive the ball to all fields. If you throw him a fastball away, he's just going to take it the other way. If you pitch him in, he'll pull it down the line right there. Nunez didn't make a bad pitch there. It was on the outside corner, but Tyler Duncan just took it to the left center gap, and he did not miss that one.
Duncan's really had a breakout year this year. It's 2-0 Hamilton early on in this one.
Luis Bernardo.
And Chris, if you're Nunez out there on the mound, starting pitcher, how can you put that behind you and just focus on this game as if it's a brand new game?
Yeah, you just have to realize that it's early and that it's only 2 runs, and your offense is gonna score you more than 2 runs today, most likely. So you really just have to reel it in here and just continue to stay aggressive. You can't get scared off the plate.
You're going to see 4 pitches from Nunez, 4-seamer, changeup, curve, and a slider. Left field, another fly ball. And that one's caught in left by Starlin Rodriguez, 2 away. Going to see that fastball about 65% of the time, 24% off speed, and then a 10% breaking stuff.
Designated hitter number 16, Dennis DeBanning.
Sam, can you confirm it's on? Do you have a display?
So here's Dennis DeBanning.
No, it hasn't been turning on. I don't know why.
Display? Yeah, push.
Nunez, one of the 4 players on the Baycats that is here via the import player rule. There's a strike to DeBanning. He's from Bonao in the Dominican Republic. He was in the Texas Rangers system for quite a while. That's inside. Made it all the way up to AA. Was about to be called up to AA when MLB went through the COVID season. Made a lot of cutbacks to the minor league system. And Nunez, unfortunately, was released. So last year, the Guelph Royals took advantage of that, brought him in, and now this year, entering his second IBL season, this time with the Baycats. That's up high 2-2. And Nunez last season also faced the Hamilton Cardinals in the postseason. It did not go well. Pitched in 2 games, about 10 innings, and both games ended up in losses. So if you're on the mound, what can you do to put the memory of those games behind you?
Yeah, last year Nunez Game 5 against Hamilton came in after Custodio. They were up 4-1, and then he actually allowed the Hamilton Cardinals to get back in there as you see DeBanning take that walk. He was on the mound. He loaded the bases. Luis Jean, the shortstop at the time, ends up driving one to right field, ties the game 4-4, and then Hamilton, obviously, the rest is history. When it comes to Nunez, one of the causes for concern, you've already seen it early, is that while he throws roughly 85, 86, it looks very hittable to the hitter, and you've seen a lot of hard contact already today. So he's got to be very fine with his pitches. He can't just throw it over the middle of the plate. He's got to be on the corners in order to have success. So far today, not the greatest signs early on.
And you got to mix up the timing, too, to keep the hitters off balance. Can't go back to that fastball too often. Here's Tanner Rempel with a runner on first.
Yeah, and one more interesting thing to consider is Carson Burns is not generally a catcher. He's been the shortstop for most of the season. First time working with Jeffrey Nunez, if I'm not mistaken. So it's going to be interesting to see how they work through this game. So far, it's been a lot of fastballs early, which you'll see from a lot of starting pitchers, not trying to show off a lot of their repertoire. But the thing is, in the playoffs, there's a sense of urgency.
Fly ball left field. Rodriguez going back at the track, and he makes the catch on the run. And that will end the inning. Couple runs in thanks to the Tyler Duncan home run. It's 2-0 Hamilton as we head to the bottom of the first on Baycats TV, Rogers TV in Barrie. And if you're watching in Hamilton, welcome on Cable 14.
For the Cardinals in the first, 2 runs on 2 hits.
Premier North Windows and Doors is a proud supporter of the Barrie Baycats, locally owned and operated, and specializing in window replacement and door installation. Simcoe County's #1 choice for windows and doors. Classic Car Wash, customizing your car wash experience using high-quality products. Their team of experts will make sure your car is shining like new when you drive away. Give your car the VIP treatment it deserves at Classic Car Wash in Barrie. The Collingwood Brewery at 10 Sanford Fleming, producing delicious lagers, ales, and seltzers since 2014. The proud home of the Baycats Brew. Check out their retail shop and tap room and select products at the LCBO, beer store, and grocery stores. Cheers, and go Baycats!
Hi, I'm Debbie Wilkes, owner of Insightful Living and licensed provider of Brain Echo Technology, which aims to calm and balance the brain. If any of these troublesome things are troubling you, then I'm talking to the appropriate person now.
Welcome back. Bottom of the first inning. Let's take a look at the starting lineup for the Barrie Baycats. Kenisicho will lead things off and play center field. Then it'll be Adam Odd, the shortstop, Starlin Rodriguez, the left fielder, and then Ryan Rio, the DH. Hayden Jaco is the first baseman. Then it'll be Branfield Fonse back in the lineup at third base after missing game 2. Carson Burns is catching today. Then Avery Tuck in right field, and Kyle Maves, the second baseman. They'll be facing 44-year-old right-hander Brett Lawson. Stands at 6'8" on the hill, 230, and he is a former Baycat, so Baycats fans very familiar with Brett Lawson if they followed through the 2010s. What can you tell us about Brett?
Yeah, Brett Lawson won a bunch of championships with the Barrie Baycats. He was here for most of those up until 2018. Now in Hamilton, started the season with Welland. Hasn't been the greatest season for the 44-year-old, but a veteran pitcher who's been here before. He's done this many, many times. And if there's a guy that you want on the hill with a lot of experience, it's hard to find anybody with more experience than Brett Lawson.
Mostly going to see 3-pitch mix from Lawson, 4-seamer changeup and a curveball. He'll use mostly the 2-pitch mix, not so much the curveball to the lefties. Up the middle on the ground, Kenisicho gets things started with a base hit in the bottom of the first inning.
It'll be interesting to see how long they let Lawson go today. It's his first start of the season. He only had one start last year as well, so only one start over the last 2 seasons. He's been more of a 1-2 inning kind of guy, and at his age, of course, it takes a little bit to get built up. I played with Brett Lawson last year in Welland, and he always talked about if I'm going to start, I need to be built up to do so. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him go maybe 3-4 innings and watch the Cardinals try to piece this together.
Almost a bullpen day for the Cardinals. They had a couple of big-name starters come in at the signing deadline but leave before the postseason. Nick Cardinal comes to mind. He was supposed to be at the top of that rotation. Here's Adam Odd. Odd has been red hot almost all season and then way into the postseason. He has looked great. First pitch to him is a strike. Odd hit .390 to finish off the regular season. 6 homers, 27 RBI. 13 doubles in there as well. Idro's got speed at first, and that's outside. Talking about how Brett Lawson went from Welland to Hamilton this season, those two teams have gotten quite the relationship, moving players back and forth. Brandon Nicholson went from Welland to Hamilton as well. You, of course, went from Hamilton to Welland last season.
Yep. And Justin Gideon went also from Hamilton to Welland last season.
That's true.
So, yeah, it's been, it does make sense, right? They're very close in proximity, the two teams, so a lot of the guys that play for Hamilton, it's not that much farther of a drive to Welland and vice versa. And, of course, those two teams have that relationship, so it makes it easy to make those kinds of moves.
Idro goes. Odd hits it to right. That's going to get down and go all the way to the wall. Idro's on his way to third. He's going to round third and go all the way to the plate. It's an RBI double for Adam Odd. Baycats within 1. Stay hot, Adam Odd. Odd came into today with a 26-game on-base streak, heading back into the regular season, make it 27. Starlin Rodriguez coming up. First inning brought to you by JC Unlimited Contracting, design, supply, build, renovate, servicing Simcoe region for over a decade. So another runner in scoring position as the former Baycat Brett Lawson trying to get some control on this inning. That's down and away to Starlin Rodriguez. Rodriguez came back to the Baycats this season, has really done a nice job solidifying many positions, can play the infield, can play the outfield. It's very well. Top of the order bat. Josh Matlow, manager for the Baycats, was very pleased to have Rodriguez on the team. Mentioned last year, he was signed. They really wanted to get him on as soon as possible. It didn't work out last year, but it worked out this year as early as the preseason. And he's been here all year. 2-0 to Starlin.
Starlin Rodriguez, obviously best known around these parts for the bat flip, heard around the world in the 2019 postseason, 2018 postseason against Kitchener. So he's the people that have been around the league know about Starlin Rodriguez. He's the rare veteran import in the IBL.
Left center field. That's caught by Quinn Cotton on the run to his right. And there's one away. Here's Ryan Rio.
Designated hitter number 7, Ryan Rio.
And you have the opposite perspective. I mean, you were a pitcher on an opposing team when Starlin hit that big home run, had that big bat flip. And he's a guy that likes to bat flip a little bit. But what's your reaction? I know you're also a Jays fan, so you saw the Bautista bat flip, so it must be a little bit conflicting for you.
No, see, I'm a fairly emotional guy when I'm on the mound myself, so I don't get offended if a guy hits a moonshot. Go ahead and admire it. It's really hard to do that in baseball. It's hard to hit a ball that far, and especially in a moment as big as Game 6 of the finals, where essentially that home run won them the championship. It's hard to fault the guy for doing that. He was also playing with a really, really bad hamstring, so that's why his home run trot took so long as well. So he was battling a lot of things. It was a really, really big moment.
And that one gets Rio on the foot. So Brett Lawson hits Ryan Rio with a pitch. 2 on, only 1 out. Here's Hayden Jaco.
The first baseman, number 55, Hayden Jaco.
And you look at Hayden Jaco, and I think he's really been impressive this season, not just at the plate, but throughout all this year, he's been recovering from knee surgery. Finally was able to get back behind the plate for a few games late in the regular season, was behind the plate yesterday as the catcher. Not behind the plate today, he's playing first base, but even just becoming a catcher again part-time this soon after knee surgery is so impressive.
Yeah, I have some friends that were catchers in college, and then even right after college, they don't want to do it anymore because it really does take a toll on your knees. So for Hayden Jaco to come back from knee surgery and be even willing to go back there this early is quite a testament. And from knowing some guys that played with him in 2021 in London, they all kind of say the same thing, is that he's a little bit crazy and he's very, very tough, and that's the combination you need in order to be a successful catcher.
Popped up into the bright sky, no problem for Tanner Rempel. That's the second out. I mean, you talk to Jaco, and he was clear all year, so was Josh Matlow. They wanted to get him behind the plate as soon as possible. And credit as well to the teammates that allowed him to take it gradually. I mean, you look at the breakout of Josh Cote in the regular season. Tyler Plumpton out with an injury now, out for the season, but he came in and he was prepared to take some catching reps as well. And now Carson Burns, who I was talking to a couple of people around the team today, and they were saying, hey, Carson Burns loves catching. He's super excited to be back there. This is the second or third time he's caught this season behind the plate, but he's ready to go, and he's looked good behind the plate.
Yeah, catching every once in a while isn't that bad. It's when you're catching every weekend that you really start to feel that toll.
We need to change the batteries. The batteries are shot.
That's another reason why Josh Cote's sophomore season in the IBL was so impressive.
Turn it off and change it. Turn it off.
He was so good at the plate as well. The 0-2 to Infante, down low. Bernardo saying, hey, that's where I wanted it. It's a good miss.
Yeah, and I had the pleasure of coaching Josh Cote when he was about 16 years old with the Ontario Terriers, and to see his development as a player, and he's always been able to hit, but to see his development behind the plate has been a real treat to watch this year.
Runner going to third, pitch outside. He's going to get in there without a throw.
Lawson went with a high leg kick there. He never even looked back at Adamot, and Adamot, as soon as he saw that leg go up, he took off. There was no chance Bernardo was going to throw him out.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Brantfy Infante. High pitch is fouled on the ground left side near our photographer, Bob Hurley. Hamilton finished the season at 19-23. It's hard to connect that to the Hamilton team we're seeing now because the early season Hamilton team was very, very different. They had import player spots, changing players. They also had junior players rotating in and out throughout the season. That's outside, and Ryan Rio steals a base. I think that caught Brett Lawson off guard a little bit.
Yeah, one of the things with Brett Lawson is that he is very, very slow to home plate. Adamot just took advantage of it. And the thing about Ryan Rio is nobody's expecting him to run. So as soon as he takes off, it's going to take a second for guys to register, and nobody was even standing at second base getting ready for a throw there.
Rio back on base today after his 8-game on-base streak was snapped in Game 2. They get Infante looking, and that ends the first inning. But the Baycats add 1. It's 2-1 Hamilton as we head to the second on Baycats TV, Rogers TV Barrie, and Cable 14 in Hamilton.
Danielle May Real Estate, supporting the Barrie Baycats and ready to help with all of your real estate questions. What is your home worth? Should you sell now or wait? Danielle is dedicated to your success. The next time you think real estate, think Danielle May. VMF Sportswear, the official jersey provider of the Barrie Baycats. High-quality, pro-custom uniforms using only the best quality fabrics. Custom apparel, excellent customer service, and community support. VMF Sportswear, Canada's trusted sportswear brand. BarrieToday.com. Local news, weather, Baycat scores, and more. BarrieToday.com. Your community, your news.
Welcome back. Second inning here on Baycats TV. Glad to have you with us on Baycats TV as well as Rogers TV in Barrie and in Hamilton on Cable 14. Patrick Melbourne, Chris Lazar, Sam O'Coin as well. About 22 degrees Celsius as we travel through the game. Feels a little bit hotter than that until the wind comes in. There hasn't been a ton of wind, but we just got a gust of it there to interrupt my weather report. First pitch outside and high to Jacob Underwood from Jeffrey Nunez back out there for inning number 2. So Chris Lazar, let's go back in time a little bit. Let's go to May 29th, 2022. We were at Bernie Arbor and you were pitching for the Hamilton Cardinals against the Barrie Baycats. And unfortunately for Baycats fans, the Cardinals won that game. Fortunately for you, you were on the mound for the Cardinals and you helped the team to the win that day.
7 innings, 2 runs, right?
7 innings, 2 runs. How well do you remember that one?
I mean, I remember most of my starts pretty well. It's a lot easier when you only pitch 9 times a season because that's how many starts you generally get in a 40-game season. But yeah, it's I like to think that I have a pretty good memory of my own starts, and I try to use that stuff when I'm facing guys later on in the season or things like that. The other thing I remember is that was my last start where my arm didn't hurt.
Oh. So. Well, our arm's not hurting is a plus. First pitch to Lane Renaud is a strike. Very different lineup for the Cardinals back then. Of course, different ownership, different everything, really. They changed up the uniforms. They changed up the ballpark vibe. That takes a tricky bounce on Fonse, and we'll go into left field for a base hit. Renaud had Nunez that time. He guessed correctly and got the single. So a lot of changes, but one batter that was in that lineup right there in the middle was Lane Renaud. He has been a real constant for these Hamilton Cardinals.
Yeah, Lane's been one of the veterans on the team. I played with him since 2017. I consider him a friend of mine, and he's definitely a guy that you want on your team. A lot of times his contributions to the team won't be seen on the stat sheet as much. Obviously only hit 244 this season. The year before hit 272, but that's also not really his game. He's going to swing and miss, but he's also going to hit the ball really hard, and you just saw him sting one there past the third baseman.
Brendan Daly has a hit in every single game he's played in this season. He debuted on August 20th, so it's not very many games. Tries to bunt there. Doesn't bring it back. The count 0-2. He has been a real asset at shortstop at the bottom of this order. And because of the junior rule, he didn't have to qualify for the postseason. He was in already. So he's really just starting his season out. That's outside 1-2.
Yeah, it's been a really positive revelation for the Hamilton Cardinals, a team that's been looking for a shortstop all season long. Obviously, Brandon Nicholson was playing there, but it's a little bit up position for him. He played shortstop in college, but that was some 5-6 years ago. Was mainly an outfielder in the IBL, and now you're able to put him back in his normal position and have a guy who can contribute at short.
6-4, and he's safe at first base, so it's a fielder's choice. 2 away. So back to the top of the order, and the aforementioned Brandon Nicholson.
Left fielder number 25, Brandon Nicholson.
He's a great guy to have at the top of that order because of his speed. Had tons and tons of stolen bases last year. We were really surprised as a media team in Barrie that Welland was willing to part with him, but obviously they had a different plan for one of their import player spots. Nicholson is American.
It ended up just being a numbers game for them, really. They have a very crowded outfield in Welland. They had about 5 or 6 guys that could play the outfield, and Nicholson was one of those, and they needed some more pitching. So they essentially traded Nicholson to Hamilton to be able to pick up Alberto Guerrero, who is now at the front of their rotation.
Neil Sriwastawa and I were talking a little bit ago. That's hit to left center field very well. It's going to get down and is fielded on a hop by Icho. Rounding third, coming home. And that's another run for the Hamilton Cardinals. It's 3-1.
And that is bad news for the Barrie Baycats. It looks like Starlin Rodriguez was limping his way out there, and now they're going to wave up the trainer.
Yeah, he did not look comfortable on that whatsoever. As out goes Katarina Exendaris, the trainer. Just to finish up that point, just look at the outfield depth in the IBL. Guys like Drew Lawrence, Humberto Ruiz, Brandon Nicholson not making the starting lineup for some teams. There's a lot of really good outfielders in the IBL.
Yeah, a lot of guys after their college careers no longer really want to play the infield. It's a lot more work to go play the infield, and you just saw Starlin Rodriguez throw his hat on the ground there. He's clearly in some pain, and I think he knows just how bad this might be. Looks like Anderson's warming up over there. He might go in the game in left field.
Victor Plaza as well, just
Victor
throwing.
Plaza might go.
You wonder if Brad McQuinn's also a candidate. Starlin Rodriguez, a guy who has dealt with his injuries at points this year. He is such an important guy for the Baycats in the outfield and the infield.
Number 3 hitter as well for the Barrie Baycats, right in the middle of that order. So that's going to be a huge, huge blow if he's not able to continue. And Matlow's talking to home plate umpire Ben Rosen. Looks like they might be making a change.
Or at least monitoring the situation. Let's take a look at the out-of-town scoreboard today. Nothing happening yet, but there are 3 other series that are resuming either today or tomorrow. Guelph-Toronto gets going with Game 2 today at 7 p.m. Game 1's going to resume Sunday after Game 2. Welland-Brantford, that will resume at 6:05 today with Game 1, and then they'll immediately play Game 3 tonight. And then Kitchener-London, they're going to resume Game 1 Sunday and then play Game 3. Have you got that sorted? It's nice and simple.
Yeah, it's every series except for this one has to resume Game 1 before finishing, or after finishing Game 2, I should say. I guess that monsoon on Thursday just didn't reach these parts, which is always one of my favorite parts about playing in Barrie. Even driving up here today, it was raining everywhere except for here.
Yeah, no sign of rain here. We were talking to Josh Matlow earlier, and he was saying it's dry, and he was right. Even the clouds don't look particularly threatening. They come from right field, and it almost looks like it's clearing up more than anything. James Anderson is running out to left field. It looks like he's going to take the place of the injured Starlin Rodriguez. So, bad news for the Baycats. On the injury front, we did get good news about Juan Benitez, who left the game with a bit of neck pain and a knee injury yesterday. He's okay. Doesn't look like he's going to miss any time. Just a lot of things happening at the point where he was probably going to leave the game soon anyway, so ended up in him leaving, but nothing long-term there. So Anderson out there as Rodriguez walks down the right field line slowly.
You never want to see that. You never want to see any guy, leave the field injured, let alone a guy that's as important as Starlin Rodriguez is.
The Baycats, number 34, James Anderson.
And you look at different injuries down there. Could be the knee, could be the hamstring, and none of those are particularly straightforward to deal with. So we wish the best to Starlin Rodriguez as we get back going. Quinn Cotton swings at the first pitch. That's fair. James Anderson's going to have some time to field a ball as he comes into the game. Rounding third coming in is Brandon Nicholson. And the Hamilton Cardinals extend their lead further. It's 4-1. And if you're on the man, Jeffrey Nunez, now you're giving up a lot of contact. That's when he's not on, that can be the problem with Jeffrey Nunez, where the contact just gets a little bit too high. Interestingly, though, until this start, I mean, you look at his stats against Hamilton this season, he really hasn't had that problem against the Cardinals. First pitch fouled away.
Yeah, Hamilton's attacking the fastball right now, and you've seen a lot of fastballs from Nunez. Hasn't really been able to locate his off-speed stuff, hasn't thrown it very much, and it makes the approach really, really easy for the visiting team when all you're seeing is fastballs. And Nunez isn't going to blow anybody away with that 85-mile-an-hour fastball. So when guys know it's coming, it's not that hard to square up.
On the ground, back to Nunez, takes it on a bounce, throws on to first. Runner goes up to third, but there's 2 away. That'll end the inning. Nunez gets out of it. But another 2 on the board for the Hamilton Cardinals, and it's 4-1.
For the Cardinals in the top of the second inning, 2 runs on.
We be disturbing the peace. Working, we serving the streets. About to go ain't going beast. Bang, bang, leave you sleep.
Carrington comes in and the
Hard body, and that's
and the score is James Anderson and the Baycats win.
Join us this summer at the Baycats Summer Baseball Camp.
See you this summer.
At Domino's, mix and match any 2 or more pizzas and sides for just $8.99 each. Like when pizza night's more like pizza and lava cakes night, or pasta and stuffed cheesy bread night, or we're gonna need a bigger table night. Mix and match Canada's favorite pizza and more at Domino's.
Classic Car Wash, customizing your car wash experience using high-quality products. Their team of experts will make sure your car is shining like new when you drive away. Give your car the VIP treatment it deserves at Classic Car Wash in Barrie.
Welcome back. Bottom 2 here at Vintage Throne Stadium. Game 3 of the IBL postseason quarterfinal series between the Hamilton Cardinals and the Barrie Baycats. Patrick Melbourne, Chris Lazar with you. The third member of our broadcast booth today is Sam O'Coin. How you doing, Sam?
Doing well, Patrick. We've got some updates for your Baycats on the pitching front. If they were to win today, you can expect to see either Evan Souls or Brad Grieveson on Tuesday in Game 4. If Barrie loses today, Frank Garces will be next game starter, as it would be an elimination game, guys.
Thank you very much, Sam. That makes sense. I mean, you might want to consider throwing Garces anyway, but if it doesn't work out and you're in Game 5, then you're running essentially a bullpen day, and that's probably not what they want to do. First pitch to Carson Burns. Swung on, and that's a base hit to right field. I don't know what it is about the sun today. There's a lot of visibility, I guess, on that baseball, but neither pitcher's really looked sharp so far today.
Well, yeah, as we mentioned, Jeffrey Nunez, and you even saw it there to Tyler Duncan. Tyler Duncan's all over the first pitch fastball, throws him a changeup, gets him out in front of it. He's going to have to start switching speeds a lot more. Every ball that the Cardinals have hit so far has been on a fastball. So Brett Lawson, same type of thing. The Barrie Baycats clearly have a plan to come and ambush the fastball. He's a veteran pitcher. I'm sure that he will be able to make that adjustment, especially with a veteran catcher and Bernardo behind the dish.
So your message for Nunez is that's hit to right field. That's going to get down and go to the warning track. Going all the way to third is Carson Burns. He is not a normal catcher, so he can run. Kyle Maves coming up. So your message, Jeffrey Nunez, basically is just trust your stuff, trust your different pitches. And even if they're not working at the start of the game, you got to keep going back to them and mixing them up a little bit more.
Well, my message to both pitchers is you either have to figure out your off-speed stuff or else you're not going to be around very long, because both of these teams have a very clear plan to attack the fastball. You just saw it again, another fastball early in the count that was hit hard to right field. The truth is you have really one option, and it's to throw your off-speed stuff. And if it's not working, either way, your day is going to be pretty short.
First pitch outside to Kyle Maves. Missed his spot on that one. Runners on the corners, nobody out. Tying run at the plate now for Barrie. Should shout out, by the way, I wanted to give thanks for the kind words yesterday to Reed Duthie and Neil Sriwastawa, who did an excellent job in Game 2 yesterday. That's hit to left field. That's going to get down. And Nicholson throws to third. They get Tuck. But a run's in to score Carson Burns, and it's 4-2. It's a double for Maves.
Yeah, that's a really unfortunate base running mistake and a really bad base running mistake by Avery Tuck. He was out by about 10 feet there on a line drive to left field. Brandon Nicholson has been a right fielder most of his IBL career, and it's because he's got a really good arm. Moving him over to left field, that throw is even shorter. So, again, you have a pitcher on the ropes. You can't be making base running mistakes like that. But at the same time, Barrie's able to score a run, and they're right back in this one. Tying run stays at the plate.
And if you're Avery Tuck, you do understand being aggressive. He's got very good speed, but Nicholson just a step ahead there on that one. Here's Kanice Ejo. Ejo's bunt, pulls it back, first pitch of ball, 1-0.
Yeah, and that plays right in front of him the entire time because it's to left field. If it's to right field, you're trusting your third base coach a lot. On a play to left field, you're making that judgment yourself. And so that was Avery Tuck that decided he thought he could make it to third base. Unfortunately for Barrie, he was wrong.
1-0 to Ejo coming up from the former Baycat Brett Lawson. That's fouled right back. Now, how many games have you done in the booth this year? You did the one in Kitchener where you can't catch the foul ball because of the there's a glass in front of you. You're inside in Kitchener. Have you done any others in the booth where you could catch foul ball this year?
I did a couple games in Hamilton, but that one also has a screen up.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any park really in the IBL where you're going to have a chance to catch a ball in the press box. This might be the only one, but we got a roof covering us, so even if a ball's hit that high.
Ben came very close last year.
Did he?
Yeah. Because Ben likes to sit on that side. And I was up in PA, and I'm watching, and it goes up right outside that roof there, and he just missed it. And then I made fun of him over the PA for it. Here's the 2-1. That's a strike even now at 2.
Having played baseball my entire life, I'm smart enough to not go for a foul ball because I understand, especially on a line drive, it hurts. It's not fun even if you catch it. So I usually just try to get out of the way.
Well, you mentioned you had gone through a little bit of arm pain last season throughout the latter half of the year. I've heard rumblings through your podcast that you're not closing the door to a comeback in the IBL. Are you interested in still pitching in the league?
I wouldn't even label it as not closing the door. I would label it as I'm coming back next year to pitch.
Okay.
I got labrum surgery roughly 4 months ago, so I had torn my labrum. That's what happened. That's why I've been on the shelf and haven't played at all this year. But the recovery for that is roughly 9 to 12 months,
Gotcha.
Which puts me right on line to come back and pitch next year. Not sure where I'll be pitching next year, but I will be back in the league.
Still interested in doing the media stuff that you've been doing this year as well as pitching?
Maybe. It's going to be a little bit more difficult because I can't have... in order to do the media stuff, I have to have a more unbiased opinion.
Yes.
And if I'm playing for a team, it's very difficult to have an unbiased opinion.
That's fair.
It's even one of the things I've struggled with a little bit this year, just because I've played for Hamilton, I've played for Welland, and I have a lot of friends in the league.
Yep.
But they've all been very understanding with the idea that, this is my job now and this is what I do.
3-2 is grounded. Tricky bounce Underwood. He throws on to first. And that's the second out. Going all the way up to third was Kyle Maves. So the Baycats have a runner at third with 2 out now for Adam Odd, their hottest hitter. Anyway, just to finish that point from a little bit earlier when I was so rudely interrupted by play on the field, I just wanted to give a shout out to Reed Duthie and Neil Sriwastawa for the excellent job they did in Game 2. They'll have the call of Game 4 back in Hamilton at Birdie Arbor. Did a great job on Cable 14 and Rogers TV in Barrie. Ben Davy will be back for a potential Game 5 as Maves back there at third. Ben Davy on assignment today. Odds 6 for 10, hitting 600 in the postseason so far. That's down in. He has really emerged as a high leverage bat for the Baycats. Mentioned hit .390 this season, but he's also played exceptional defense pretty much anywhere you put him, including at shortstop, a premier position in any baseball league. Here's the 2-0. There's a strike to Adam Odd.
Yeah, and Adamont's been their best hitter so far in this postseason now. He is 6 for 10 already in this playoffs. Last year really struggled in 3 games, only had 1 hit. So I'm sure he's pretty happy to have completely turned that around.
Dealing with injuries last year, never quite looked 100% last year, came back and had an opportunity to have a big impact with the team this year, and he really ran with it. Looks great. Batting second in today's order. Swing and a miss. Odd down on strikes, and that will end the inning. Still 4-2 as we head to the 3rd inning here on Baycats TV, Rogers TV in Barrie, and Cable 14 in Hamilton.
Inning number 2, 1 run.
Join us this summer at the Baycats Summer Baseball Camp. See you this summer!
Danielle May Real Estate, supporting the Barrie Baycats and ready to help with all of your real estate questions. What is your home worth? Should you sell now or wait? Danielle is dedicated to your success. The next time you think real estate, think Danielle May.
And siding, quality above all, and featuring. Leading off the 3rd inning for the Hamilton Cardinals, catcher number 14, Luis Bernardo.
Welcome back to Baycats TV, 3rd inning. 2nd inning was brought to you by Wingin' It Restaurants, the great taste of adventure. 3rd inning brought to you by Fate Trim Aluminum and Siding, quality above all else. Luis Bernardo in the middle of that Hamilton order will get things started. It'll be Bernardo, then Dave Banning, and Tanner Rempel. First pitch to Bernardo is a strike, 0-1. And as we mentioned, the key for Jeffrey Nunez going forward now is just mix up those pitches, get a little bit more deception in that right-handed delivery. Count 0-2 quickly to Bernardo. Just looking at the Hamilton Cardinals throughout the year, one of their real focuses as they had new ownership, new uniforms, new team direction, new GM. That's grounded to 3rd. Throw out a first from Infante, 1 out. One of the real keys for them was to get a solid catcher who could work with the pitching staff, be a real mentor, but also be a threat at the plate. And Luis Bernardo has been an all-around really good catcher for the Hamilton Cardinals, Chris.
Yeah, and having a good defensive catcher has been such an important aspect for the last couple of years for every team in the IBL. It's what everybody's looking for, and it's hard to find. And so Hamilton decided to go the import route to find him, and Luis Bernardo has definitely been everything they could have possibly asked for.
Swing and a miss from DeBanning. Similar route to where where Kitchener decided to go. They decided to look in Cuba for a catcher, and they came up with Junior Ibarra. Here's the 0-1. That's up and in. And Ibarra has been a real asset for them as well. What's it like when you're on the mounds and you have total trust in your catcher to call a game and work with you? Here's the 1-1. There's a strike. What's it like when that catcher is a real plus catcher back there versus someone who's more average?
It's really the most important thing when it comes to being a pitcher is having a catcher that you can trust. A lot of times when a pitcher has a good outing, the catcher is just as much to give credit to as the pitcher. And when it's a bad outing, it's vice versa. It's the same thing. Catchers take a lot of that blame themselves as well inside locker rooms, and it's a thing that a lot of people don't think about. But yeah, having a good defensive catcher, having a catcher that you can trust, who knows hitters, who understands sequencing and how to get hitters out, is a very, very big advantage in a league like this.
On the ground. Takes a tricky bounce from Infante, but backing him up is the shortstop Odd. Throw's going to be late, but a great job to keep it in the infield there. So if you're watching, let's go up to MLB for a moment, and if you're watching Hall of Fame candidates and you look at guys like Yadi Molina and Buster Posey, and they're short on wins above replacement for what you would typically see for a Hall of Famer, would you give them a boost based on how reliable and consistent they were working with pitchers and working behind the plate?
I would say so. I think that catching is such a unique position like that where defense is more important than offense. I know that's changed a little bit now in the big leagues, but I think it's a bit of a lost art now is a catcher who can call his own game and who can read bats and do all that stuff. In the big leagues now, you see a lot of scouting reports, a lot of guys that basically just listen to the khakis, tell them what to throw and when to throw it. That's one thing that made Yadier Molina so elite, was that he just understood how to get hitters out. And again, like I said, it's a lost art. And if you look at the Cardinals, what was the one thing they were always known for? Was having good pitching staffs. And what was the common denominator? Yadier Molina. He's gone this year. What happens to their pitching staff? All of a sudden, they're not as good.
Here's the 1-1. Swing and a miss. The ball gets away from Burns up to second. Goes the runner, Day Banning. You look at a lot of modern catching techniques, the focus is really just on framing more than anything else.
Yeah, and that's just because they have so much information that, in a league like the IBL, it's hard to get that level of information where you can see based on thousands and thousands of at-bats. But in the big leagues, a lot of those scouting reports are already made prior to the game, and so it's just following the instructions that you were given. Which again, when it comes to a league like this, it's very important to have a veteran like that who understands the game on a deeper level.
There's a really good book that takes modern sabermetrics and StatCast style systems, and the writers take the equipment and those systems, and they apply it to a team very similar to this, the Barrie Baycats or the IBL. Pops up left field, moving over and making the catch is James Anderson, throws it in, and the runner has to stay at second base. So this is a league that, very similar to the IBL, really only has point streak for most of the teams. And they come in, they bring in a TrackMan system, they bring in a whole bunch of stuff, and they test out how that would work. The book is called The Only Rule Is It Has to Work, and it's by Fangraphs writers Ben Lindbergh and Sam Miller. And I haven't finished it yet, but I've read the first half, and I'm still going on it, and it is excellent. Strongly recommend. 4-2, Hamilton over Barrie here in the top of the third inning here at Vintage Throne Stadium. Pitch from Jeffrey Nunez is a strike.
And you can see it looks like Jeffrey Nunez has really gotten the memo. He's started off every hitter so far in this inning with a breaking ball. 2 of the 3 balls in play were on breaking balls. Even Day Banning, he only saw 1 fastball in his at-bat, and it was the last pitch. Didn't hit it very hard. There's another breaking ball from Nunez. And you can see the Cardinals' at-bats have been much less comfortable this inning.
And when the other thing about that is when you don't mix in your fastball as much, when you're changing things around with the off speed and the breaking stuff, then later on you can start mixing the fastball again. It has a completely different vibe to it. That's on the ground to second, throw on to first, and that will retire the side. Heading to the bottom of the third here at Vintage Throne Stadium. Been a good one so far. Hamilton on top, 4-2. The Baycats are going to try and get back and tie the game or take the lead as we come back on Baycats TV, Rogers TV and Barrie, Cable 14 in Hamilton.
The Collingwood Brewery at 10 Sanford Fleming, producing delicious lagers, ales, and seltzers since 2014. The proud home of the Baycats Brew. Check out their retail shop and tap room, and select products at the LCBO, beer store, and grocery stores. Cheers, and go Baycats! VMF Sportswear, the official jersey provider of the Barrie Baycats. High-quality, pro-custom uniforms using only the best quality fabrics. Custom apparel, excellent customer service, and community support. VMF Sportswear, Canada's trusted sportswear brand.
2 out, runners lead. There they go. Here's the pitch. This one rocked to right field.
Want to come to a Baycats game? Check out our tickets at barriebaycats.com.
Score at least 2. Tuck is in to score. Rio behind him.
BarrieToday.com. Local news, weather, Baycat scores, and more. BarrieToday.com. Your community, your news.
Hitting off the third for the Baycats, left fielder number 34, James Anderson.
James Anderson to the plate. Rob Daniels doing a great job on PA tonight. Kendra Doyle is our in-game host. Brian Backland, our producer. Juliet Mason, production assistant today. Glad to have you with us on Baycats TV. First pitch, a strike to James Anderson. Gary Mason, Dan Miller back there in the production room as well. James Anderson staring at no one count. Up and in. James Henderson and Jack Hind working analytics today for us. And then Bob Hurley, our photographer. Got a great crew. We're taking in a great game. 4-2 so far. Baycats hoping to get back in this one this inning against Brett Lawson. That's fouled away. Kicks comes home. That's going to get away from Luis Bernardo. So you pitched last year with Hamilton with their old uniforms that are a little bit more St. Louis Cardinals inspired. This year, brand new rebrand, black uniforms, whole new look. They're calling it the Hammer. Swing and a miss. Anderson down on strikes. What do you think of the rebrand?
I mean, it's hard to dislike it, right? It gives them a new identity. The whole St. Louis Cardinals thing always bothered a lot of us because a lot of people in Hamilton didn't even know that there was a team, and they would see us walking around in Hamilton Cardinals gear or whatever, and they would think that we were just St. Louis Cardinals fans.
Right.
So now it's more distinct. It's easy to tell that this is the Hamilton Cardinals and it's not any other Cardinals. So
yeah, I was always a real big fan of teams trying to move away from MLB style identities and try to get their own vibe more and more. Rio swings at the first pitch, pops it up. Daly under it. He's going to give way to Jacob Underwood, who makes the catch. 2 quick outs here for Brett Lawson. Brett Lawson's really calmed down here in the third inning. He's looked good.
Yeah, you have to be really encouraged by what you've seen from Brett Lawson if you're manager Dean Castelli. He seems to have gotten the message, too, since giving up those 2 hard hit balls in the second inning. Lots of off speed. You saw there on 3-2, he threw a breaking ball to James Anderson to strike him out. First pitch breaking ball to Ryan Rijo to get him to pop out. So, again, like I said, these teams are looking to hit fastballs, and the pitchers have made the adjustment. We'll see now if the hitters are able to make the adjustment back.
First pitch to Jaco is a strike. Hayden Jaco playing first base today for the Barrie Baycats. Popped up to first base his first time up. That's in the dirt outside. Branfi Infante would be next. Infante, another guy that can play infield or outfield. Jaco guessed wrong on that one, 1-2.
It's 3 straight off-speed pitches to Jaco, and he hasn't looked comfortable on any of them, really. We'll see if he decides to go back to the wall 4th time. I would probably throw it again right here.
Keep going back to what works?
Yeah, go throw it until they prove to you that they can hit it.
Here's the 1-2. Got him. And that's exactly what they did. And they got Jaco swinging to retire the side. 4th inning coming up here at Vintage Throne Stadium on Baycats TV, Cable 14 in Hamilton, and Rogers TV in Barrie as the postseason continues right here.
Premier North Windows and Doors is a proud supporter of the Barrie Baycats, locally owned and operated, and specializing in window replacement and door installation. Simcoe County's #1 choice for windows and doors. Classic Car Wash, customizing your car wash experience using high-quality products. Their team of experts will make sure your car is shining like new when you drive away. Give your car the VIP treatment it deserves at Classic Car Wash in Barrie. The Collingwood Brewery at 10 Sanford Fleming, producing delicious lagers, ales, and seltzers since 2014. The proud home of the Baycats Brew. Check out their retail shop and tap room and select products at the LCBO, beer store, and grocery stores. Cheers and go Baycats!
Hi, I'm Debbie Wilkes, owner of Insightful Living and licensed provider of Brain Echo Technology, which aims to calm and balance the brain. If any of these troublesome things are troubling you, then I'm talking to the appropriate person now.
Leading off the fourth inning for the Cardinals, second baseman.
Fourth inning brought to you by Clarkson Bins and Junk Removal, the local source for simple, clean, and reliable disposal, bin rental, and junk removal services. Pitch from Jeffrey Nunez to open the inning is fouled straight back to the screen. Lane Reno leads us off. Reno, then Brendan Daly and Brandon Nicholson. That's up high. Count 1-1.
Adam Ott over there looking around with his hands in the air like, where did that one miss?
You mentioned it. It can be a bit of a smaller zone with Ben Rosen sometimes. That's outside.
He's been fairly consistent today, though. I think he's had a pretty fair zone. So far, so good. But being around the IBL for as long as I've been is the one thing I know is that the strike zone the first 4 innings isn't necessarily the same strike zone you'll see later in the game. We have to hope that is the case today.
That's a base hit to left field for Reno. I'm not sure that's exclusive to the IBL. I mean, you look at Major League Baseball and you see zones change throughout the game.
Shortstop number 41.
And it's frustrating as a player, right? One thing if you talk to any player is we don't care if it's a big zone or a small zone. We just want it to be a consistent zone so that we know what we're getting. It's never good when it's the 7th or 8th inning and you're still asking the umpire where did it miss.
Well, when you establish the strike zone as a pitcher early in a game and you have that as a mindset, okay, this is where I can go to get a strike. This is where I can go to throw it maybe outside or inside, and I'm not going to get the call, but it could be a decent pitch to try and get a chase. Check swing didn't go. Count. They go to first. They say he didn't go. 1-1. And then you go back, having that in your mind. Not only can you not be rewarded for going back inside the zone for a pitch, but you have to reestablish, and that shouldn't be on you. That's swing and a miss down low, 1-2. And when you have to reestablish later in the game, once you've been working with all your stuff, that can be an adjustment that can be a little bit unnatural and can stand in your way as a pitcher. Here's the 1-2. Swing and a miss. Brendan Daly back to the bench. 1 out.
Left fielder number 25, Brandon Nicholson.
And that's something as well, establishing the strike zone and getting in there with all your pitches. That's something Nunez really struggled with in that first inning. Only through his off-speed and breaking stuff a little bit. Was never really comfortable with it. So like you mentioned, had to go to that fastball a little bit too often. But now that he's gotten into the zone a little bit more with those pitches, moving more comfortably through the game, and he can almost start fresh and really appreciate his whole repertoire now. Foul ball left side.
Yeah, he's got to stay with the approach that worked last inning, right, where he was throwing more off-speed than fastballs. I think Jeffrey Nunez is one of the guys that he's not going to blow anybody away with his fastball, and so he has to pitch backwards a little bit. You can see Nicholson hit that first ball hard, but that's back-to-back breaking balls that he pulled foul. No need to speed up his bat with fastball here.
Got him.
Got him anyway.
Second strikeout of the inning for Jeffrey Nunez, who's looking sharp now. 2 away. So what have you noticed this inning that's switched his stuff from being a little bit more hittable to being more strikeout stuff?
It's just he's able to throw his breaking ball for strikes, and when you do that, it makes your fastball more unpredictable and it makes it better. It forces hitters to respect the off-speed pitch, and if hitters have to respect the off-speed pitch, it makes the fastball more effective, and that 85-mile-an-hour fastball might look like 90 now. Then you saw Nicholson there after back-to-back breaking balls. Might have been looking for another one, and Nunez able to sneak the fastball past him.
It's easy to forget with Nunez. He's a big, tall guy, has the beard, looks intimidating out there. He's only 25 years old. He's still a young pitcher, and he's a guy that could make adjustments. And really, if he gets his stuff working, he can pitch at higher levels than this. He was a guy who was going up to Double-A at the time of his release in Texas. It was not his fault he was released. But he's a guy with a lot of potential. 3-0 to Quinn Cotton, though.
Yeah, he's 6 feet tall, which isn't short for a pitcher necessarily, but when you see Brett Lawson up there on the mound,
well, that's a little unfair.
Makes him look a lot smaller.
There's a strike, 3-1. You don't want to lose Cotton with 2 out, Duncan on deck. You'd much rather face Duncan next inning with the bases empty. Yeah, height can really be an advantage. It's not inherently an advantage for a pitcher, but it can be, as that's ball 4 to Cotton. Duncan will bat. Like, you look at an example now in the big leagues, Sean Jelly is 6'11", but he's really struggling to use that height to his advantage. But you look at guys like Chris Young and Randy Johnson, who were really, really tall and were able to use that to really become dominant and add on to their stuff with it.
Yeah, there's a bit of a sweet spot there for pitchers. You'll see most successful pitchers being somewhere between 6'3" and 6'6". The taller pitchers, what you want to do is you want to use that plane to your advantage, as you mentioned. You don't see a lot of shorter pitchers have a lot of success because you're more level with the plate, which makes your fastball look more straight than other pitchers. You see a guy like Brett Lawson, why he's had success for so long, even though his velocity is not what it was once back in the day, is that he throws the ball downhill, so it looks like the ball's coming from almost above your head.
Popped up left side, that's going to go out of play. Too far to run for James Anderson, who is playing more left center field. Yeah, you mentioned it's tougher for shorter pitchers. That's one of the reasons why Marcus Stroman's built a whole brand around it.
Yeah, with Jeffrey Nunez, I would like to see him throw the 2-seam more than the 4-seam. I think that he doesn't really plane the ball super well. He doesn't throw very downhill, and so that 4-seam looks very straight, whereas the 2-seam gets a little bit more movement.
That's inside. Baycats wanted it.
A really good job by Tyler Duncan to lay off that breaking ball. Looked like it did just miss inside.
Jeffrey Nunez trying to strike out the side. Couple runners on base, 2 out. 1-2 count to Tyler Duncan, the 2023 home run king in the IBL. They got him. 3 strikeouts in the inning for Jeffrey Nunez. We head to the bottom of the 4th inning. Baycats still down by 2. You're watching Baycats TV, Rogers TV in Barrie, and Cable 14 in Hamilton.
Danielle May Real Estate, supporting the Barrie Baycats and ready to help with all of your real estate questions. What is your home worth? Should you sell now or wait? Danielle is dedicated to your success. The next time you think real estate, think Danielle May. VMF Sportswear, the official jersey provider of the Barrie Baycats. High-quality, pro-custom uniforms using only the best quality fabrics. Custom apparel, excellent customer service, and community support. VMF Sportswear, Canada's trusted sportswear brand. BarrieToday.com. Local news, weather, Baycat scores, and more. BarrieToday.com. Your community, your news.
Branfi Infante will lead things off in the bottom of the 4th inning against Brett Lawson, and Lawson has only thrown 47 pitches through his first 3 innings, and Baycats might want to make him work just a little bit harder in this 4th.
Yeah, Lawson's done a really good job of attacking the strike zone so far today. He's mixing in all of his pitches in the last couple innings. Made it really difficult for Barrie to sit on anything. They were sitting on the fastball early. That's why his pitch count is low, because they were hitting the fastball early in the count.
First pitch to Infante is a strike. It'll be Infante, then Carson Burns, and Avery Tuck. Pitch from the tall righty. That's on the ground. High hop, fielded at third. Throw on to first, and a nice play there. 1 away. That's the third baseman, Jacob Underwood, making the play. Underwood's looked good over there at third base. He's had some tricky hops. So here's Burns. Let's get an update from Sam Aucoin on Starlin Rodriguez, who left the game a couple innings ago with an injury in left field.
Well, guys, this is not good news for Baycats fans, but Starlin Rodriguez has exited this game with a groin pull, and manager Josh Matlow just told me he looks to be out for the season with a more serious injury than we might have thought.
Well, that's not good news. Thank you, Sam. Not the update we were hoping to hear, but now we just wish the best for Starlin Rodriguez, as that gets Carson Burns' second hit by pitch so far in the game for Brett Lawson, both in the same area.
Yeah, and you knew right when it happened that it wasn't going to be good news for Starlin Rodriguez. You can see whenever a player can't go for the ball anymore and just completely abandons the play, especially in a playoff game, you know that the injury is probably pretty serious, and unfortunately it appears that that's the case. Again, it's early, it's an initial diagnosis, so you hope that maybe after some future imaging that it looks a little bit better. But as of right now, definitely with this series only being another 3 days long at most, it's hard to see him coming back in this series for sure.
Here's a strike to Avery Tuck, and now, of all things, Carson Burns being able to play catcher becomes very important, because you look at the catchers, Jaco's still not ready to play catcher every single game. And if Anderson's going to be playing the outfield more with Rodriguez injured, then Burns might be asked to play catcher a little bit more. Noel McGarry-Doyle back at school now, and Brad McQuinn more suited to a pinch run role or a coming off the defense for a defensive replacement role, has not had the season he's wanted to at the plate.
And that was
throws over to first.
And that was certainly a concern for Barrie coming into the postseason, was knowing that you're going to be without Noel McGarry-Doyle, you're going to be without Josh Cote, two of the more important players who are everyday starters at their positions. Now with Starlin Rodriguez out, it makes it even more paramount, and it makes that omission look even bigger than it was before.
Noel's coach, if you're watching this, Noel McGarry-Doyle did qualify for the postseason roster. We wouldn't mind having him back for a few more games. That would be fun.
As somebody who played in this league during college, I can tell you that most college coaches do not care. Unfortunately.
But I'm telling this to them, and they should care about what I say.
When the great Patrick Melbourne speaks, you listen.
I personally think it would be pertinent to have Noel McGarry-Doyle on the Barrie Baycats just for a few more games.
It's really unfortunate because
and then back next season and the season after that and the season after that.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because having played here during college, I always had to leave usually around halfway through the first round or just after the first round to go back to school. And I'll tell you right now, playoff games in this league do way more for you as a player than whatever fall ball conditioning your college coach is going to make you do. It's just unfortunate that in America they don't really understand the level that this league is at.
Here's the 2-1. To right field, that's a base hit. Fielders kind of lost it in the sun. That's a single for Tuck. Up to third goes Carson Burns. Runners on the corners, only one out for Kyle Maves.
However, you do see college coaches for teams that are up north, that are upstate New York, that will let their players stay here a little bit longer. Connor Morrow was allowed to come back and play here when he was still at Canisius for some of those Baycats playoff runs. So the people that know about the league understand the level that it's at and understand the importance of playing in these playoff games. But again, unfortunately, Noel McGarry-Doyle doesn't go to school in upstate New York. So,
well, it's also a tougher sell the deeper it goes, because
for sure,
you look at the 42-game schedule. The one real downside to that is, if we were wrapping up right now, it might be an easier sell to someone like Noel McGarry-Doyle's coach. Hey, he's going to be back by August 28th. That's going to get into the outfield. Burns scores 4-3. Up to third goes Tuck. It's a double for Kyle Maves. Baycats within one again. And the Baycats putting on a rally, so I'm just going to finish up this point. But if the schedule were to either start earlier or reduce a little bit like it used to, then maybe you could convince a few more college coaches to give up their players just until the end of August rather than going into mid-September. Because it's a tough sell when the season gets this late.
Well, and the other thing, too, is you got to sell to the player, right? There's a lot of guys who play in this league who are fighting for a starting spot in college, and so you don't want to have a bad impression with your college coach, because when you're in college, those are the most important games, right? This is something that you do to stay ready and to stay fresh, but you want to impress your coach in fall ball, and it's hard to impress your coach when you're in Canada playing baseball and not wherever you are at school, showing him what you can do.
Can't 1-1 to Canisius, Joe, and I'm biased, but I have a hard time thinking that any college coach wouldn't be impressed by Noel McGarry-Doyle's presence on the ground, left side. And I know there's more to it than that, but man, that guy's good. 1-2.
Hamilton playing the infield back here. Looks like they're going to trade a run for an out. Corners are playing in, though, so if the ball goes to third base, do not expect to see Avery Tuck take off.
Here's the pitch. That's down and away. Count even now at 2. Brett Lawson, who was so efficient coming into this inning. Things falling apart just a little bit for him. No action in the bullpen right now. Does that surprise you?
It does. I think this is probably the most amount of pitches that Brett's thrown in a game this season. If not, it's definitely getting up there. Now, Hamilton is short on pitchers. They lost almost their entire pitching starting rotation.
Weekly hit right back to the pitcher. That's not going to score the runner. Tuck. Throw on to first, and that's a big second out for the Hamilton Cardinals.
Yeah, with the losses of Jason Wilbur, Nick Cardinal, and Logan Walters, who was lost to injury, unfortunately, they're very short when it comes to their arms, and obviously having lost some guys to college as well. So they need some length out of Brett Lawson.
Well, you look as well, like even Peters, who had such a good day yesterday, he's a guy that has been used out of the bullpen, could have been more of an opener if they had more starters available.
Yeah, I think the idea was to have him as their closer earlier in the season, but again, he's being thrust into a starting rotation spot because they don't have many options.
Cardinals really do like having a high-powered closer. I mean, they had Jose Fernandez, the former Toronto Blue Jay, a couple of years ago. Last year, I believe he was in for a bit, and then they had Dowry Torres back in 2021. Tuck. Back in time. Ball gets away from the third baseman, Jacob Underwood. We are tied.
And that's an unusual mistake from a veteran catcher like Luis Bernardo. You already have 2 outs. You just got to get the guy at the plate, and he throws that ball away. And Jacob Underwood, he's not a natural third baseman. He's a natural catcher, actually, but he's being thrust into action because they need somebody to play there, and his bat is pretty solid. Not a great throw from Luis Bernardo. Gets away from Underwood. Now the game's tied.
Well, you talk about all the good outfield depth they have. So many guys that can play good outfield for the Cardinals. The infield depth is a little bit tricky because you have natural catchers at first base and third base right now in Tanner Rempel and Jacob Underwood.
Yeah, and it was one of the head-scratching things about the way that the Cardinals approached the deadline was they went out and they added a guy like Quinn Cotton, who's another outfielder, and they already had a lot of outfielders.
Line right to short, and that will end the inning. Nice play by Brendan Daly. And they get Adam Ott, a big out there for the Hamilton Cardinals, but the Baycats tie the game. We're tied at 4 as we head to the 5th inning here on Baycats TV, Rogers TV in Barrie, and in Hamilton. Thanks for joining us on Cable 14.
We be disturbing the peace. Working, we serving the streets. About to go 8 going beast. Bang, bang, leave you sleep.
Carrington comes in and the
Hard body, and that's
the score is James Anderson and the Baycats win.
Join us this summer at the Baycats Summer Baseball Camp.
See you this summer! At Domino's, mix and match any 2 or more pizzas and sides for just $8.99 each. Like when pizza night's more like pizza and lava cakes night, or pasta and stuffed cheesy bread night, or we're gonna need a bigger table night. Mix and match Canada's favorite pizza and more at Domino's.
Classic Car Wash, customizing your car wash experience using high-quality products. Their team of experts will make sure your car is shining like new when you drive away. Give your car the VIP treatment it deserves at Classic Car Wash in Barrie.
Welcome back to Vintage Throne Stadium. It is the top of the 5th inning, and we have some updates on the guys before the game. Even with the loss yesterday, the Baycats are still thinking positive. The vibes around the batting cage were very high, and Ryan Rio even gave them a pregame speech to pump them up. Let's see if this helps the Baycats as they continue to hopefully take a 2-1 series lead.
Thank you very much, Sam. And yeah, it's hard to get too down in a game where you're facing a pitcher that had his stuff as electric as Corbin Peters had one yesterday. It's almost easier in a way to put that one behind you, considering how objectively good the other pitcher was that day.
Yeah, sometimes good pitching beats good hitting, and that was just one of those examples yesterday. You just tip your cap to the other team and you move on. I will say that losing 6-1 a lot of times is a lot easier than losing 8-7 or losing 6-5. Those games you feel like you could have won. I don't think there was really a point yesterday where Barrie felt like they were in control of that game.
Pitch from Jeffrey Nunez. We get back going here in the top of the 5th. That's to Luis Bernardo. And you're right. I think I was listening to Reed Duthie yesterday, and they were talking about how, they were a little bit dejected yesterday. Stefan Strecker mentioned that. Coming into that game, they had a bit of a chip on their shoulder because losing 9-8 is really, really tough.
Well, losing 9-8 when the other team makes 6 errors, you really feel like that's a missed opportunity, and especially when you have a chance to win a game against Frank Garces, you cannot let that opportunity slip away. And if the Cardinals end up losing this series, that's the game they're going to look back at.
And they had opportunities late. I mean, Frank Garces, he's not going to look like a guy who's going to give up 5 runs very often. And the odds of him having an off day twice in the same series they're pretty slim. Here's the 2-2 to Luis Bernardo. That's fouled back. 5th inning brought to you by Eatsall Paving for all of your residential, commercial, and industrial paving needs, providing quality service for almost 40 years. 40 years! That's a long time because you deserve the best. 2-2. Down and away. Luis Bernardo, full count against Jeffrey Nunez. Nunez entered this inning, with 71 pitches thrown, and he gets him there. 4 straight Ks for Jeffrey Nunez. Bernardo down swinging.
You can see the fastball looks much more effective now after mixing in that off-speed pitch. The Hamilton hitters have to respect that off-speed, and a lot of them are looking for it now because that's what he's been using to get ahead in counts. Luis Bernardo hasn't had a lot of success against Jeffrey Nunez at all today. He's 0 for 3 now.
Bernardo, he's really struggled against Nunez today. That's popped up from Dennis DeBanning into right center field. Tuck looks at it. He's going to get under it. Shades his eyes, and he makes the catch. 2 quick outs here. That breaks the strikeout streak for Nunez, but he's not going to mind. He's looked sharper and sharper as this game's gone on.
First baseman number 44, Tanner Rempel.
So here's Tanner Rempel. Talking about Rempel yesterday on that broadcast again, Reed and Neil really emphasizing how important a part of the team Tanner Rempel has been for the Hamilton Cardinals. Do you ever get to play with Tanner?
I did not. No, Tanner came in this year, so his first year in the IBL, unfortunately, was the first year that I wasn't in the IBL since 2016.
Well, hey, looking forward, I mean, you're either going to be teammates with him or facing him in the future, so. Because he looks like a guy that's going to be around the league for a while.
Yeah, who knows? He's from BC, so those guys, you never really know what can happen with life and things like that.
That's going to be trouble. That's going to drop between Maves and Tuck for a base hit. You look at Rempel, he's an example of a guy that the new GM, George Halim, brought to the Hamilton Cardinals. He has a lot of college connections, being part of, I believe, Pro Baseball Report, I believe it's called. So Prep Baseball Report, thank you. I knew that didn't sound right. So he's got a lot of connections, and he's brought in a lot of brand new talent. The former GM of the Cardinals, Jeff Lansbury, ended up in Toronto this year, and some of the players he was closer to took the trip to Toronto with him. Robin Fox-Pappas, one of those players. You played with Hamilton more when it was Dean Castelli in charge. A little bit with Jeff Lansbury, I think, but you also went to Welland around the time he took over.
Yeah, my departure from Hamilton coincided with Dean Castelli being let go from Hamilton. Dean is one of my favorite people I've ever played for. Was really happy to see him get the opportunity to come back and coach this team.
And I think that's inside. The response on both sides, that's going to be a tough play. They got him at second base. What a job behind the plate by Carson Burns. Throws a strike, and that retires the side. Heading to the bottom of the fifth, still tied at 4.
Join us this summer at the Baycats Summer Baseball Camp. See you this summer!
Danielle May Real Estate, supporting the Barrie Baycats and ready to help with all of your real estate questions. What is your home worth? Should you sell now or wait? Danielle is dedicated to your success. The next time you think real estate, think Danielle May.
Fielder number 34, James Anderson.
James Anderson will lead things off. Back out there on the mound, Brett Lawson, and he has really given Dean Castelli everything he asked for through 4 innings. It might be tied, but he is grinding out, looking pretty good out there overall. Hoping for a better 5th inning than a 4th inning. Looked really good through the first 3. First pitch to Anderson, it's right in the zone, 0-1. Dean Castelli came back this season after about a half season away. You played with Dean, Chris, and that was a positive experience for you?
Yeah, I love playing for Dean. Dean's my favorite manager I've ever had. I've only had 2 managers in the IBL, but even in college and everything like that, he's one of my favorite people I've ever played for. And it's because he lets you be yourself, and he's very transparent with his communication.
Into the dugout. You've played with a couple of good IBL managers. I mean, you look at Dean, and then you look at Brian Essery this year. He's at the top of the standings. He's going to get a lot of Manager of the Year votes.
Yeah, Brian Essery's the Manager of the Year award is always an interesting one to me, because a lot of times it's just which team has the most amount of talent.
Or which team finishes first.
Or which team finishes first.
Oh, to first in time, 1 out.
Although that's not always the case. I actually, if I did have a vote, which I don't, But if I had to vote for manager of the year, I would actually vote for Bill Matatich from Kitchener. I think what he's done has been outstanding. That team finished 7th place last year. This year they're 2nd in the standings, and they're one of the favorites to take the whole thing home. So that would be my personal manager of the year vote for him. But obviously you can't fault Essery for having a lot of talent. It's not his fault that his team is loaded. And
well, it's like Angus Roy a few years ago. I mean, excellent manager. He also had a ton of great players, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you show me a good manager, I'll show you a good baseball team.
A lot of guys elevate. A lot of guys would argue Angus Roy elevated a lot of players too.
100%.
Terry Francona had some amazing teams, but he also gets a lot of recognition for how he elevated them. Here's the 1-0. Ryan Rio swings and misses. I think Bill Matish, I think that's a good bet. He came in this season as a first-year manager replacing John Menard. Here's the 1-1. On the ground, right side, foul ball. Good diving effort by Rempel there.
Yeah, and I also had Bill as an assistant coach last year, and I was a really big fan of him. He cares a lot, which is half the battle in this league, is getting guys to 100% buy into the IBL, and I can tell you he's 100% bought in. And the guys in Kitchener really like him. I've spoken to a lot of them about Bill, and they're all huge fans of him.
Fouled off. Of course, we saw Kitchener on Saturday last week. I was down there calling the game with Neil. It was a lot of fun. It's a good team. That London-Kitchener series, that, other than Barrie Hamilton, that might be the most interesting one for me because I think either of those teams could make it all the way to the finals. Here's the 1-2. Swing and a miss. Rio down on strikes. And Bernardo takes him on the back. I mean, you look at London, they got their best game in multiple years from Pedro de los Santos yesterday, but the bullpen couldn't hold it for them. They have a great lineup. They have a couple of good starters, but it's going to be all about the bullpen for them, and Kitchener is in a position to take advantage. They've got a great lineup.
Yeah, London's bullpen is definitely the weak spot on their team, and then in their lineup, they need their big boys to hit. They need Starlin Joseph to hit, and he did hit a 2-run homer in Game 1, so that was a positive sign, but they've struggled for offense all season, and they're going to need to hit in order to keep up with a team like Kitchener that has such a high-powered offense.
Facing off against guys like Yamashel Perez and Christian Hauk. 0-1 to Hayden Jaco. That's it up the middle. It's going to be caught, though, by Quinn Cotton. Quick inning on the mound, and it is indeed a bounce-back inning for Brett Lawson. Let's go to the 6th here on Baycats TV, Rogers TV, and Barrie and Cable 14 in Hamilton.
The Collingwood Brewery at 10 Sanford Fleming, producing delicious lagers, ales, and seltzers since 2014. The proud home of the Baycats Brew. Check out their retail shop and tap room, and select products at the LCBO, beer store, and grocery stores. Cheers, and go Baycats! VMF Sportswear, the official jersey provider of the Barrie Baycats. High-quality, pro-custom uniforms using only the best quality fabrics. Custom apparel, excellent customer service, and community support. VMF Sportswear, Canada's trusted sportswear brand.
2 out, runners lead. There they go. Here's the pitch. This one rocked to right field.
Want to come to a Baycats game? Check out our tickets at barriebaycats.com.
Score at least 2. Tuck is in to score. Rio behind him.
BarrieToday.com. Local news, weather, Baycats scores, and more. BarrieToday.com. Your community, your news.
Welcome back, 6th inning, Jacob Underwood, Jeffrey Nunez. That's the matchup. Glad to have you with us here on Baycats TV. It's a very nice day, quite hot, but not a ton of humidity. Ground to second. Kyle Mays over to first. One a quick out. And I am no expert on the Humidex, as my broadcast partner Ben Davy is. He likes to bring up the Humidex. He likes to be a weather person on the broadcast, quite frankly. He has all the fancy expressions. I can tell you it's hot. It feels hotter than 22.
It's definitely warm.
But there's not a lot of humidity in the air. It doesn't feel like it's going to rain. It doesn't. It's still fairly comfortable. And it's too early for the bugs.
Yeah, weather report is no clouds, and it's warm.
Yeah, the clouds have gone away. It's warm. There are no bugs right now. It's kind of nice. Brian Backland tuning in. He says, the weather rock's not wet. I remember walking by a place that had a weather rock fairly often at one point. That'll go into out of play, into the stands. Lane Renaud. Can't now 1-1. Sixth inning brought to you by Vintage Throne Barber Lounge. Experience the tradition of quality service and relaxed environment. Redefining gentlemen in the heart of Barrie. This game's moved along quick.
You shouldn't have said that. You know what happens anytime somebody says that on a broadcast.
Pitch like there's a pitch clock. Can you do me one thing? As that is outside. Count 2-1 to Lane now. Do me one thing next year, Chris.
Yes.
Pitch like there's a pitch clock, because we know there's not going to be one.
Oh, I've heard rumors that there might be. So
I'd love there to be one. I am a little skeptical that the extra umpire or volunteer at every park will be a doable thing, just because, it's easier said than done sometimes at some of these places like Christie Pitts. Outside, and that's no disrespect to Christie Pitts. They've got a good volunteer team, but it's not a large volunteer team. And if you don't rely on volunteers to do that, you rely on sending an extra umpire to every game, and I'm not necessarily sold on that happening. Over to first goes Renaud. I guess they intentionally walked him. Anyway, Renaud at first. This is Brendan Daly. That's fouled away. I'm being told just a standard walk, so we have the count wrong. I apologize for that.
Nunez up to 91 pitches now, so expect to see some movement in the Baycats bullpen here pretty shortly.
I was rattled by the pressure of being told that I'm going to cause the game to go slower.
Well, I mean, you say that, and then he walks a guy.
Here's the 0-1 down in the dirt. Next time we have a Christmas in July night at the ballpark, Ben Davy's a really big fan of that idea. He loves the idea of Christmas songs being all night long. In the second inning, after the game's only taken like 15 minutes at that point, I'm going to go on an extended conversation about how the game's been going by so quick. Just going to extend the length of Christmas in July for him. I think that would be fun.
I'm sure that's the one day where he would appreciate it.
Runner up to second now, Lane Renaud. Now, we had two theme nights like that. One of them was canceled. The Christmas in July did not happen this year, but the other one we had was country night. Are you a country music person?
I am a country music fan.
Then you would have liked country night.
I live for country night.
On the ground, foul, and that was similar to the time Boots and Hearts was happening, so everything was country music in Simcoe County. Except my phone. Brendan Daly putting up a good fight. He's had a good series so far. Here's the 2-2. On the ground, up the middle. Nunez looks at second, decides to go to first. Get the sure out as the runner was back in time, Renaud. So fielder's choice, 2 out in the inning.
The left fielder, number 25, Brandon Nicholson.
Top of the order now for Hamilton. This is the 4th time through the order. So Nunez, fairly efficient, all things considered, but now he's seeing the lineup for the 4th time through. That can bring the advantage back to the hitter's side.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how he approaches Nicholson. Starts him off with a breaking ball. That's how he started him off last at bat as well, but he did get him out with the fastball.
Christian Mullen was warming up earlier. He's a guy that can give you some length out of the bullpen. He did not have his sharpest stuff in Kitchener last time we saw him, but we've also seen him be very, very good. So Baycats hoping for very, very good Christian Mullen.
Same start to this at-bat as last against Nicholson, back-to-back off-speed. We'll see if he goes with the fastball again.
Hits the fastball to center field. That's going to get down and give Hamilton the lead. Rounding third is Lane Renaud. He comes in to score, throws offline, but it would have been late anyway. It's a double for Nicholson.
And
it's 5-4.
Nicholson was thinking right along with me there. He knew that was the exact sequence he got him out with last time. Tried to do the exact same thing, go to the fastball after back-to-back off-speed. Nicholson was 100% ready for it. Roped that one into center. Now Hamilton's got the lead.
So Hamilton takes the lead again. This is the best of 5 series, so there are no unimportant innings. And this is turning into a very important inning for the Baycats, trying to shut this down with 2 out. Nicholson has 3 hits and 4 at-bats today. Also struck out once. A couple RBI and a couple runs scored. That's outside. This is Quinn Cotton. He has a hit and 2 official plate appearances, also walked. Nunez comes home. That's on the ground. Tough play, Infante. He's got it. Long throw from third, and that will end the inning. Great play by Brantfee Infante to retire the side in the 6th. Heading to the bottom of the 6th, Baycats now down by a run, looking to get that run back and more here on Baycats TV, Rogers TV in Barrie, and in Hamilton on Cable 14.
Premier North Windows and Doors is a proud supporter of the Barrie Baycats, locally owned and operated, and specializing in window replacement and door installation. Simcoe County's #1 choice for windows and doors. Classic Car Wash, customizing your car wash experience using high-quality products. Their team of experts will make sure your car is shining like new when you drive away. Give your car the VIP treatment it deserves at Classic Car Wash in Barrie. The Collingwood Brewery at 10 Sanford Fleming, producing delicious lagers, ales, and seltzers since 2014. The proud home of the Baycats Brew. Check out their retail shop and tap room, and select products at the LCBO, beer store, and grocery stores. Cheers, and go Baycats!
Hi, I'm Debbie Wilkes, owner of Insightful Living and licensed provider of Brain Echo Technology, which aims to calm and balance the brain. If any of these troublesome things are troubling you, then I'm talking to the appropriate person now.
Bottom of the 6th inning, brought to you by Vintage Throne Barber Lounge. Welcome to Baycats TV coverage of Inter-County Baseball League postseason quarterfinals, the series between the Hamilton Cardinals and the Barrie Baycats. Series is tied at 1 right now. This is Game 3. Game 4 goes on Tuesday. First pitch up and in. No, strike to Brantfee Infante. Zone expanded a little bit there. Brett Lawson back on the mound for inning number 6 of work.
I think if you told manager Dean Castelli that Brett Lawson was going to be in the 6th inning and had only given up 4 runs, I think he would have been more than thrilled with that. So they have to be really happy with what they've gotten from him so far.
Big swing and a miss from Brantfee. Lawson's 44 years old, stands at 6'8", and has been in the league an awful long time.
And he is going to be sore tomorrow.
Here's the 1-2. To the left side, foul. Ryan Jackson gets out of the way of that one, the third base umpire. Played for the Barrie Baycats from 2013 to 2018. So he's a member of a couple of those championship teams. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. He was with the Baycats. He was with the Maple Leafs, before that, and went to the Royals in 2019. When the league resumed post-COVID in 2021, he joined the Jackfish and then moved from Welland to Hamilton in the middle of the 2023 season. Has a career IBL ERA of 5.66. That's inflated a little bit because of a couple of rough seasons.
I also think the point streak only goes back to 2010. I'm pretty sure he was in the league a couple of years before that as well. So
yeah, I'm only committing to 2011 and above with those stats. Over to first. One out.
Yeah, the Hamilton Cardinals have gotten Brett Lawson's best outing of the year in a game where they needed the best outing of the year. And you'll see this a lot in the playoffs where guys that have okay or subpar seasons really show up come playoff time. And especially veterans that have been around for as long as Brett Lawson. He understands that the regular season, as our colleague Ryan Eakin put it so eloquently, it's a 42-game preseason, essentially. And I'm sure he treated it that way. Ryan Eakin.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he tweeted it out right at the end of the season. He said the 42-game preseason is over.
Yeah, I mean,
although I don't think that'll be the case next year with the 9th team.
In a league where every team makes the playoffs, there will be questions around the importance of the regular season by some. Let's put it that way. I would be among those pushing for a 6-team postseason.
I would also be among those pushing for a 6-team postseason. And I know there have been some teams that have pushed for that, but unfortunately they can't get the majority vote because, of course, teams want to play in the playoffs.
Yep.
Although I'm interested to see what they do next year with a 9th team, because you can't have 9 teams make the playoffs.
Well, assuming all 9 teams are playing next year. I mean, Toronto is being sold. Hopefully they'll have a team on the field next year. It looks like they will, which is good news. Pitch to Carson Burns. Swung on it, fouled back. Last call for 50-50, by the way. You can head to barriebaycats.com/5050 to pick up your 50-50 tickets online in partnership with United Way, Simcoe, Muskoka. One-two to Carson Burns. Foul back to the batter's box. The on-deck box, I should say.
Lawson creeping up on 90 pitches here, and you can see some action in the Hamilton bullpen. I want to say that's Alex Lanigan.
Yep, there's a right-hander up. That's fouled right back to the trees on the left side. Game 2, the Hamilton Cardinals used Corbin Peters for 8 innings, Stefan Strecker for 1. Baycats used Benitez for 6.1 and then Souls the rest of the way. So both bullpens are pretty rested. And now Brett Lawson is angry with the home plate umpire, Ben Rosen. Luis Bernardo.
And that's a veteran catcher right there, just getting in the way there, making sure to de-escalate that situation the second it happens. Lawson obviously thought that was strike 3. It looked like a pretty good pitch. And he is pitching his butt off right now. And a lot of times as a pitcher, when you're pitching like this and you're grinding as hard as you are, you really, really want that call. And you could tell right there, just a great job by Luis Bernardo to go out there, calm him down, and get in the middle of it, make sure that Lawson stays in this game because he has been very effective.
He's lucky, though. Some umpires would have thrown him out for that kind of hug he did to the umpire there. Some umpires are very quick on contact to immediately throw out. Dean Castelli out for a chat with Ben Rosen, but back in the dugout now.
See, but in a situation like that, the umpire is focused on the pitcher, and he's more angry at the pitcher. And
yeah,
a lot of times you won't even notice that the catcher's getting in your way.
And they say Burns went. 2 out. I'm not sure why you get the benefit of that call there after yelling at the umpire, but apparently that's how it works.
Well, he didn't yell at him. He yelled at the plate ump. That was the third base ump that made that call.
Umpires are a brotherhood on the field, though.
Yeah.
The only thing I would say in response to that contact is if you're the catcher trying to de-escalate things, you got to de-escalate things with the pitcher, not the umpire. There's a foul ball back to the screen.
But that shot, I can tell you exactly what Bernardo's saying there was, hey, listen, I know. I understand what it's a really big game. He's really emotional right now. He didn't mean it. Just trying to de-escalate it in that way. And then obviously he told him, listen, I'll go talk to him. I'll calm him down. Everything's going to be okay. And that's just, like I said, the veteran presence of Luis Bernardo.
Swing and a miss from Avery Tuck.
I'll tell you, if there's a younger catcher back there, maybe a college guy or a guy who's a little bit just out of college who doesn't have that experience, might not know that he can get away with that, or might not get that benefit of the doubt from the umpire, and Lawson might not be in this game right now.
Brett Lawson has not thrown 6 innings in a game since 2019. Swing and a miss from Tuck. And that stat is no longer true. He's thrown 6 innings here today. You know who got the win in that game? Chris Lazar.
Did I really?
You did. We'll talk about that in the break and then come back in the 7th.
Yeah. I know that game. We'll bring that up when
How about that?
Back.
7th inning coming up.
Danielle May Real Estate, supporting the Barrie Baycats and ready to help with all of your real estate questions. What is your home worth? Should you sell now or wait? Danielle is dedicated to your success. The next time you think real estate, think Danielle May. VMF Sportswear, the official jersey provider of the Barrie Baycats. High-quality, pro-custom uniforms using only the best quality fabrics. Custom apparel, excellent customer service, and community support. VMF Sportswear, Canada's trusted sportswear brand.
Ignorable. To learn how you can help, you can visit uwsimcoemuskoka.ca.
7th inning brought to you by United Way Simcoe Muskoka, making poverty unignorable. To learn how you can help, you can visit uwsimcoemuskoka.ca. 5-4 Hamilton as we enter the 7th inning here. 5 runs on 9 hits, 1 error for Hamilton. 4 runs, 7 hits, no errors for Barrie. Much cleaner game than game 1 for Barrie. They'll like that. First pitch outside for Jeffrey Nunez, and just as yesterday with Juan Benitez, this is another game for Barrie where they have their starter pitching into the 7th inning. That's good news. That keeps the bullpen fresh. On the right side, Maves over to first and a quick out. And in a situation where if you win this game and you're planning a bullpen day tomorrow, having the bullpen fresh is very important.
Well, yeah, right now you're down 5-4, so you got to focus on trying to win this game, of course. But with a team that doesn't have a very strong bullpen like Barrie happens to not have that as strong of a bullpen, it's really important for your starters to go deeper in the game because you're asking less of that bullpen. And Jeffrey Nunez, to his credit, didn't look like he was going to be around very long at the start of the day. But after the 2nd inning, he's really settled down. He's only given up the 1 run since that 2nd inning.
And talent is not the question in the Barrie bullpen. It's just consistency. All those guys have really shown flashes of being brilliant this year, but they've also had rough stretches as well. And the fresher they are, the more likely you are to get the good versions of those pitchers. Like Evan Souls yesterday. He hadn't pitched in a few days, comes in, and he looks like early season throwing heat. Evan Souls has good command. if you have Aiden Russell, Brandon Hillier being fresh down there, you get the good versions of those guys, you're going to have success. That's it to right field. Moving over is Tuck. 2 quick outs in the inning. Here's to Banning now. Looks like Welland and Brantford are about to get started in the resumption of their game. Welland up 8-4 in game 1 in that one. So they're going to play the last 3 innings of game 1, and then they're going to get right into game 3 tonight. That's it up the middle. DeBanning's got himself a hit. Second hit of the day for Dennis DeBanning. 1 on, 2 out. Here's Tanner Rempel now.
Yeah, Nunez up over 100 pitches now. You'd have to imagine that this might be his last inning of work. Although in the playoffs, it's not uncommon at all to see guys go into the 120s or the 130s. So just because he's up there doesn't mean this will be his last inning.
Well, a few years ago, around 10 years ago, I was listening to an old game, and the analyst said, you know, a starting pitcher should be able to go 145 pitches if needed. Throw to second. Burns doesn't get him this time. He's had a good day behind the plate. That was a good throw, just a tiny bit late. 145 pitches seems so high 10 years later, where pitchers are often asked to start games and then go 60, 70 pitches.
Yeah, I'll tell you as someone who has thrown that many pitches in a game, once you get past 100, every pitch kind of feels the same at that point. You're equally as tired. It's really the legs that go. It's not even really the arm. It's more so that you don't want guys throwing 140 pitches every time out because that's a lot of accumulation. But to ask a guy to do it every once in a while, I don't think is necessarily the worst thing in the world, especially in a playoff game in a league like this.
But now you look at MLB starters, and a good outing can be 70 pitches for a starter in 5 innings.
It's also different in the MLB, right? Because they're multi-million-dollar investments where you just want to make sure the guy is healthy.
Gets away from Burns. Good job to block it as that pitch was down. Nunez says, my bad. Runner up to third, that's DeBanning. He's got good speed.
And teams will always take ultra safe precautions with their pitchers when they're investing millions and millions of dollars into them. They need them
unless you're the Angels, apparently. I
mean, unless you're the Angels.
I'm seeing some of those headlines saying Shohei had some arm discomfort and they weren't even checking it.
So they actually did come out with a report earlier today that the Angels offered an MRI, but Shohei and his agent declined the offer.
Don't you have power over the player to make them do an MRI at that point, or is it up to the player?
I think Shohei Ohtani has power over everybody in all of baseball at this point.
That's a fair point.
I think if you tell Shohei Ohtani tells you he doesn't want to do something, what are you going to do?
It's fair.
And you have to think of it from Shohei's point of view, right? He probably doesn't want to get any imaging done because he thinks if he can get through the season, it's better if nobody knows that he has a torn UCL, and then he can go out there and get his big payday.
I mean, you would hope players wouldn't be that sneaky, but players have been that sneaky before. It depends on the guy.
When there's hundreds of millions of dollars on the line, I can't exactly blame a guy.
Yeah, I'm not going to blame anybody. Here's a 2-2. That's up high. Full count to Tanner Rempel. Like we mentioned, Game 4 Tuesday at 7 o'clock in Hamilton. You can catch that game on Rogers TV in Barrie or Cable 14 in Hamilton. Reed Zuthi and Neil Sriwasto will have the call of that for you. And that's down and away, ball 4. So runners on the corners with 2 out now. And Jeremy Allenbrook at the edge of the dugout. He's not the coach that would make the call. So Nunez sticking around in this game to face Jacob Underwood. Worth noting that we have a very blocked view of the bullpen from our angle just because of the umbrellas that are up there today, so we can only kind of see things. I can see there's definitely someone throwing, and we believe it's Mullen. We heard Mullen was warming up earlier. We believe it's still Mullen, and then Brad Grieveson is stretching a little bit. And Brad, I'm not even going to pretend to analyze whether Brad could still go in Game 4 or 5 if he pitches today.
Yeah, with a couple of days off in between, I'm sure he'd be available for Game 4 if need be.
A big strike there to Jacob Underwood. It is Christian Mullen warming up. Aiden Russell out there as well. And then Grieveson is stretching. Thanks to Brian Backland, our excellent producer, for getting us that camera angle. Crowd getting into it. 0-2, 2 out. Runners on the corners here in the top of the second. Pitch from Nunez to Underwood is fouled away, and we'll do it again. I mean, you look at Brad Grievous and Stefan Strecker. I was talking to Josh Matlow about this, and those two guys have just been absolutely unbelievable throughout their entire careers. You were teammates with Stefan. We got to hear from him in Game 2 on the Cable 14 broadcast. Here's the 0-2. On the ground, right to Maves, takes it on 3 bounces, throw on to first. And a big round of applause for Jeffrey Nunez, who's kept them in this game through 6.5 innings. Heading to the bottom of the 7th, Baycats trying to tie it up or take the lead as we take me out to the ball game here at the ballpark. See you in a moment on Rogers TV, Cable 14 and Baycats TV.
We be disturbing the peace. Working, we serving the streets. About to go ain't going beast. Bang, bang, leave you sleep.
Carrington comes in and the score is James Anderson and the Baycats win.
Join us this summer at the Baycats Summer Baseball Camp.
See you this summer! At Domino's, mix and match any 2 or more pizzas and sides for just $8.99 each. Like when pizza night's more like pizza and lava cakes night, or pasta and stuffed cheesy bread night, or we're gonna need a bigger table night. Mix and match Canada's favorite pizza and more at Domino's.
Classic Car Wash, customizing your car wash experience using high-quality products. Their team of experts will make sure your car is shining like new when you drive away. Give your car the VIP treatment it deserves at Classic Car Wash in Barrie.
Alex Lanigan out there on the mound. He's a guy that is in his first year in the IBL this season. You'll see 4 pitches from Lanigan, 2-seamer, changeup, curveball, and a slider. And throughout his career so far, he's pitched to a 2.48 ERA across 19 appearances. This is second appearance of the postseason, Chris Lazar.
Yeah, Lanigan had a decent outing in Game 1. Hoping to hold this lead here in the 7th inning.
First pitch up high. In a game where it was all offense, 9-8 the final score. Lanigan came in, pitched 2 scoreless innings. Facing off against Kyle Mays, and then the top of the order, Ejo Odd and James Anderson.
Alex Lanigan had a really good summer for the Hamilton Cardinals, threw a 2.6 ERA in 38 innings, mainly as a reliever. Only had 1 start. Picked up right where we left off in Game 1, 2 innings, 2 strikeouts, 2 hits. Hoping to go another 2 innings here so they can turn it over to the veteran Strecker for the 9th.
Right-handed pitcher against the left-hander, Kyle Maves. There's a strike. Brett Lawson, his day has concluded, gave up 4 runs, went 6 innings, gave up 7 hits. Only 3 of the 4 runs were earned, struck out 7, didn't walk anybody. He was exceptional.
Yeah, that's easily the best that Lawson has thrown all season long. Even going back to last year where he was a reliever, that's maybe the best that I've seen his stuff in the last couple of years.
Well, I was looking down at his outing. He really hasn't pitched anywhere close to that since 2019. So very, very encouraging stuff for Brett Lawson.
Yeah, and Brett Lawson's done after this season, so if that was the last time that we see Brett Lawson on the mound, what a vintage performance.
And speaking of vintage, as Mays takes the walk. Speaking of vintage, I mean, having it happen at Vintage Throne Stadium where he threw for championship teams, that must feel good too. Here's Kenise Ejo. Lead-off walk against Lanigan. Ejo went 1 for 4 in game 2. Struck out a couple of times, but he also scored a run. First pitch to Kenise, popped up and out of play. Foul, back in our direction. So I ask this of most people I work with on air, and it's different with you because you're a current player. But when you go to a ball game as a spectator, are you someone who brings the glove?
No, I haven't done that since I was about 10 years old.
I bet you haven't caught a foul ball since you were about 10 years old then.
That is
either.
true.
Yeah,
that is also true.
There you go.
As I mentioned earlier, I know what that feels like, and I usually just try to get out of the way. My gloves are also fairly expensive, and I don't want to bring them to a game where I might lose it.
That's fair. You could get a kind of throwaway glove just to bring to games if you wanted to.
I guess, yeah.
0-1 up the middle, base hit Kenise Ejo. Mays is going to hold at second base. 2 straight hits to lead off the inning in the 7th inning against Alex Lanigan. Here's Adam Odd, the hottest hitter on the Baycats.
Here comes the shortstop, number 26, Adam Odd.
Odd just missed a grand slam a couple of weeks ago. Odd up the middle. That's going to drop in front of the center fielder, Quentin Cotton. The runner has to hold at third base. And the bases are loaded with nobody out here in the bottom of the 7th against Alex Lanigan. Victor Plaz will bat for James Anderson.
Barrie Baycats a really good fastball hitting team as they showed early on today. Alex Lanigan having trouble finding the zone, so he's got to stay with the fastball, and that's back-to-back hits on the first pitch. He's going to have to find it, and he's going to have to find it right now.
This is Plaz's first at-bat of the postseason at .307 with 3 big flies in the regular season across 26 games. Three doubles, 2 triples as well. That's in the dirt. Lanigan's missed outside the zone badly and missed right in the middle of the zone in this inning. Here's the 1-0. There's a strike. And that's one of the problems when you don't have pinpoint command, because when you try to go back in the zone with your pitches and reestablish that command, you're vulnerable to leaving it too far in the middle and too viewable for the hitter.
Yeah, and it makes it a lot easier for the hitter when he knows that you can only throw 1 pitch for a strike.
Here's the 1-1. On the ground, could be 2. Daly goes home, and it's wild. It gets by the catcher, Bernardo, and they don't get anybody. We are tied. And that is a misplay by Daly. He should have gone to second and tried to get the double play.
Yeah, the Cardinals had the infield in there, so they were always going home on that play. That ball was also hit, I think it was hit too slow in order to be able to turn 2. Plaz runs relatively well. Problem is that he threw it on the run, and he should have set his feet. He had more time than he thought he did. Bernardo wasn't able to scoop that up, and now we got a tie ball game.
And I'm sure what you just said there was insightful, but the crowd was so loud after that play, I couldn't hear a word of it. Ryan Rio, bases loaded, nobody out. That's a strike. We're tied here at Vintage Throne Stadium. The 0-1 from Lanigan. That's outside to Ryan Rio.
Nobody
71 on that last pitch.
Nobody you'd rather have at the plate right here if you're Barrie. Ryan Rio, not only is their best hitter, but he's also one of the best contact hitters in the league. He doesn't strike out a whole lot. And with the bases loaded, that's what you need.
There's that contact. 1 run in. A second run rounding third. He's going to come in to score. That's wild. Third base side. A third run will score. Rio up to second base. A bases clearing double. Whether they call it that or not in the official scorer, the bases are clear. 8-5. Ryan Rio clears the bases. We'll have to see how that's scored officially. There's probably going to be an error there on the throw to third base. Let's take one more look at that here on our replay. Rio to the right side, that gets through. There's the 1 run. The second run will come through Hern. Then the throw to third is Wilds. And Plaza's going to come in and score. That's going to be unearned. There's going to be an error on the throw. Rio's going to be able to get up to second on that error. Amazing job by Ryan Rio. Live pictures now on Baycats TV.
First baseman number 55, Hayden Jacob.
It is an error on the right fielder, Tyler Duncan, that allowed that additional run to score. And 3 of the 4 runs in the inning are now earned. The 1 unearned, that would have been Plaz. Showing bunt is Jaco. It's fouled. Baycats now have a 3-run lead here in the bottom of the 7th inning. And now they have options in the bullpen. They can go to Mullen. They can go to the lefty Russell. They could go to Brad. They could stick with Nunez. That's hit to left center field. Long run. And it gets all the way to the wall. Cotton fields it off a bounce. Rio scores. It's a double for Hayden Jaco.
Here comes the third baseman, number 8, Randy Infante.
That's the 12th hit for the Baycats this game. New pitcher warming up for the Hamilton Cardinals. First pitch to Infante's hit on the ground to second base, throw on to first. That's the first out of the inning. Up to third goes Jaco. Cody Butt is warming up in that bullpen.
The catcher, number 3, Carson.
You can't help but feel for Brett Lawson here. He goes out, pitches his heart out in what might be his last appearance ever. And as soon as he comes out, not even an out is recorded before the Cardinals find themselves down by 4.
First pitch to Carson Burns, swing and a miss on a pitch upstairs, 0-1. Now, you disagreed with me there, and you know the Hamilton Cardinals bullpen better than I do. Who's warming up?
I don't know who's warming up, but I can tell you Cody Butt isn't here anymore, so that's how I know that it's not him.
Okay, then it's someone else wearing his number.
It's somebody else wearing number 1. I'm assuming it's probably one of the junior pitchers. One of their recent junior callers.
Up the middle. That's another hit for the Baycats in the inning. It's 10-5. And they're going out to the mound. I assume this is for a pitching change. Not the outing that Alex Lanigan was hoping for. It is now 10-5 for the Barrie Baycats. 6 so far in the inning as they take the ball from their young right-hander. We'll be back in a little bit on Baycats TV. Christian Mullen still warming up in the bullpen for the Barrie Baycats. We get our first look at Dylan Clement, the new pitcher for the Hamilton Cardinals. Clement, this will be his third appearance of the summer, first of the postseason. He did start a game. He went 5 innings against the Brantford Red Sox, gave up 4 runs. And then he pitched in relief, gave up 1 run against the Kitchener Panthers in 1 inning. Struck out 1 in both appearances, and now makes his IBL postseason debut.
Right fielder number 17, Avery.
Just to give you an idea of how much of an outlier that outing was for Alex Lanigan, the most amount of runs he gave up in an outing this season was 4, and that was over an inning and 2/3 at Guelph on August 5th. Outside of that, he hadn't given up more than 3 runs in an outing all season. So for him to give up 6 runs there and only record 1 out is an incredible outlier, and that just give credit to the Barrie Baycats offense, who had a really good plan and were able to execute it against one of the better relievers in the IBL this season.
And that frustrates a manager because obviously any pitcher is capable of having 1 or 2 bad outings in a year, but having it in a spot like this is just not convenient for anybody.
It's just unfortunate, right? Because it's going to happen, right? You're going to have, like you said, you're going to have bad outings, and sometimes you don't get to pick. Well, not sometimes. You never get to pick when your bad outings happen. They just happen. And Lanigan obviously didn't have his stuff today, and unfortunately for the Cardinals, it's in a pretty important game.
If you do get to pick, would you have your bad outings against the Baycats next year if you don't pitch for Barrie?
I would have my bad outings in May when the games don't matter. I don't care who they come against.
Well, I care, though.
I'm sure you do.
Here's the 2-1 to Avery Tuck. Runner goes, swing and a miss, and because of the swing and a miss, I think there was a barrier in the vision of Luis Bernardo, not able to get the throw off. Runner up to second base. That's Carson Burns over there at second. Great to have Chris Lazar, IBL pitcher, on with us today. Patrick Melbourne on play-by-play. Ben Davy on assignment today. 2-2 is low. Sam O'Coin is our reporter. Dylan Quinn and Julius Hern as part of our media team this postseason as well. Here's the 3-2. I wanted to give a real shout out for the job Dylan Quinn did in game 1 of this series on color commentary. He was excellent alongside Ben Davy. And Ben was also able to talk to Dave Mills during that broadcast. That was a lot of fun to listen to. Great interview. Very proud of our Baycats media team this season. Ground ball back to the pitcher, going to be a tough play. Throw on to first, and they get him just by a step. So that's the second out of the inning. Still only the second out. Burns has to stay at second.
Dylan Clement, a recent junior call-up for the Hamilton Cardinals. He got called up at the end of the season when they lost a bunch of those guys, like the Cody Butts of the world and the Jason Wilbers. So very difficult spot for him to come into. He's faced junior batters all season, and now he's got to come in against a pretty good offense, a veteran offense, a team that's red hot right now.
Left center field. And he drops it. Brandon Nicholson can't make the play. The throw to second is late. Another run in for Barrie. That's Carson Burns. That should be a 2-base error for Kyle Maves, as the left fielder Brandon Nicholson could not handle it.
And this has been the inning from hell for the Hamilton Cardinals. Just everything that can go wrong has gone wrong for them. And again, the Barrie Baycats forcing them into a lot of those mistakes. That one from there, not quite sure what happened, if it was a miscommunication or something, but Nicholson looked like he just flat out whiffed.
That'll be the 4th error for Hamilton if it's called for Hamilton. So you mentioned Barrie had 6 in game 1. Hamilton looking just as shaky here. That's inside and low. Hit to left from Icho. That's going to score another. All the way to the warning track. Nicholson has a good arm. He throws to second. It's going to be close. And he's out. And the run scores. He was in there before the play at second base.
And it looks like
Icho was
down.
hurt.
I think he got tagged in the face.
Katarina Exundaris over there at second base. The Baycats trainer to tend on Kenise Ijo. And they need ice. We're going to take a break. When we come back, the 8th inning and an update on Kenise Ijo on Baycats TV, Rogers TV, and Barrie. and Cable 14 in Hamilton.
Join us this summer at the Baycats Summer Baseball Camp. See you this summer!
Danielle May Real Estate, supporting the Barrie Baycats and ready to help with all of your real estate questions. What is your home worth? Should you sell now or wait? Danielle is dedicated to your success. The next time you think real estate, think Danielle May.
Eighth inning brought to you by Expedia Cruises in Barrie. Christian Mullen, the brand new pitcher for the Barrie Baycats, coming in for the first time in the postseason. Last time he had postseason experience. That's down the dirt. He pitched very, very well. 1.68 ERA across 2 appearances. Struck out 4. He did walk 4, but kept the runs from crossing the plate. And now the right-hander with another playoff chance here for the first time in 2023. First 2 pitches to Lane Reno. One was way low, the next was way high, so he's still trying to find the zone. He's been given 6 extra runs to work with as the Baycats are now up 12-5 in an 8-run inning. Swing and a miss. Mullen from Petferlaw, Ontario. 26-year-old right-hander. Stands at 6'4" on the mound, 210.
Mullen trying to turn things around after his last outing, which was his worst outing of the season. But before that outing, did have a pretty good season. He was pitching to a 2.16 ERA. So it's season-ending ERA of 5.06. A little bit inflated based on that one outing, considering he only threw 10 innings. But pretty nice season for the right-hander.
That game was more about qualifying him for postseason than anything else. He was supposed to be a starting pitcher early this season.
One of the beauties of the IBL.
And then he left a game early after one out with an injury. Missed a couple of months, came back. More used as a reliever, a bulk guy out of the bullpen. And that's going to be his role in the postseason this year as well. Just get the outs in either short-term relief or as the premier guy out of the bullpen in a potential bullpen day. Up now 12-5. It might be a bullpen day on Tuesday. Reno down on strikes, one away.
The shortstop, number 41, Brendan Davis.
That last game in Kitchener for both Mullen and Chris Cox was purely, really, about getting those two postseason eligible, and they got them both on the postseason roster after they both pitched a couple innings in there. So yeah, Mullen did not have his best stuff, but it was more of an experimental day as he was figuring some stuff out and getting ready for the postseason.
Yeah, and a lot of guys' last outings before the playoffs, you will see them have inflated outings because they're either tinkering with stuff or they're trying new things and trying to figure out last finishing touches so that they're ready for the playoffs. Obviously, his first at-bat to Lane Renault was super encouraging. In a 12-5 game, all you need from him right now is just to throw strikes.
There was a little bit of standings drama in that game. Baycats were trying to get second place, but they really would have needed a massive offensive day to get second place as the season series benefited the Panthers. Panthers are also very well positioned to take on the London Majors. 3-0, swing and a miss. They're a very good offensive team, but they've got some pitching as well. And Liam Wilson just continues to crush the Baycats. I mean, that guy just figures it out against Baycats pitching.
Their middle of the order has to be the best middle of the order in the entire league with Wilson, Gonzalez, Leader, and Curtis. It's a murderer's row of hitters.
Going into that game, I haven't looked since, but going into that game against the Baycats, Andy Leader had only not gotten on base in one game all year.
Sounds about right. Andy Leader is he's a very, very good hitter, and he's not just a very good hitter, but he's a very patient hitter and a very professional hitter where he's willing to take his walks if you don't throw him any strikes.
3-2, got him looking. Daly down on strikes, 2 away. And Mullins had his good stuff so far today.
Left fielder number 25, Brandon Nicholson.
Here's the top of the order and Brandon Nicholson. And you played with Brandon. You know he's a good top of the order bat, not just for his on-base skills, but his excellent speed as well. Big cut on and miss there. 0-1.
Yeah, quite honestly, one of my favorite teammates in Welland from last year. He's just a very, very good guy. He's very even-keeled. Doesn't, like, even after this game, you know, I think a lot of the Hamilton Cardinals might be feeling down on themselves. He's going to go in there and he's going to have a very good attitude about it and realize that, hey, the season's not over, right? We still have to lose one more in order to get eliminated. And that's kind of how you have to look at it after losing a game where you did have a chance to win. You were going into the 8th inning, or into the 7th inning, sorry, with a 5-4 lead.
So he's kind of a clubhouse captain in a way.
He's more a do-it-by-example kind of guy. He's not going to be all rah-rah. He's not going to talk a whole lot, but you just watch the way he carries himself. He's very, very relaxed.
Now, you know a lot of these guys on Hamilton very well. Who would you describe as someone who would be the clubhouse captain?
I'd say it has to be Lane Renault. I mean, Lane he's a veteran. He's been around for forever. Longest tenured Hamilton Cardinals. So
here's the one,
he'd have to be that guy.
That's up and in. Mullen missed the zone pretty badly on the last couple of pitches, but it's still only even at 2-2. Crowd getting into it here. 2-2, 2 out in the top of the 8th inning. Brandon Nicholson against Christian Mullen. Bases empty. Here it comes. That is sky to right field. Jaco going back, and he's not going to have a play on it. That was a tough one. An 82-mile-per-hour pitch there from Christian Mullen. Mullen spent 2019 in the GTBL before joining the Baycats for the first time in 2021. Was not in the league last season, then returned to the IBL this season as a starter with the Baycats, and then had that injury, came back as a reliever. Steps off. A disengagement, as we call it now.
No rule against that yet in the IBL.
They'll get there. Even if there's no pitch clock, I bet you the disengagement rule comes next year. That's down the way.
I would have to agree with that. The thing with the pitch clock that I think would be interesting is in the MLB it works because they have pitch comm, right? So if you have a guy on second base, you don't have to go through a set of signs. In this league, you don't have that unfortunately. So I don't know how a pitch clock would work with a runner on second.
3-2, and that is ball 4. They go to first. They say he didn't go. Oh. Umpire at first base is Ryan Hern.
Center fielder number 49, Quinn Cotton.
I almost said umpire. That'd be an interesting position. You know, I'm the first base umpire, but I'm going to take some ground balls. I'm the umpire. I think Brian Backland could be an umpire. He's ready to go.
There's kind of an ump coach in the league now with Scott Cochran, who was an umpire earlier this season, is now coaching in London.
Ump coach just doesn't have the same ring to it.
No.
Here's the 0-1. Runner dancing at first base, and it distracted Mullen. He'll disengage again. As we mentioned, Brandon Nicholson has excellent speed. You can see it in our picture-in-picture down in the bottom right corner of your screen. Over at first, nearly gets away from Jaco, but he does a good job to track it down. Runner stays over at first. Nicholson's stolen base count last season led the league by a lot. He had 48. Now, he hasn't had that many this year. He had 11 in the regular season across this season, but still, he's still got that speed.
The IBL single season stolen base record holder, Brandon Nicholson. I believe he beat Ryan Spataro, actually, for that record.
Well, unfortunately, we can't like him then. Kenice Icho took the single-season stolen base leaderboard for the Baycats this season with 28. Or 26, excuse me. Up and in. That was on August 17th. In Barrie against Toronto. And then one day later, Ryan Rio took the single-season RBI lead with 48 over Kevin Atkinson, Jordan Castaldo, and Kyle DeGrace. Castaldo now playing in Toronto, of course. DeGrace played for Guelph a little bit last year. Here's the 3-1. That's fouled away. Baycats 12, Cardinals 5 here in the top of the 8th inning.
I would more so describe it as DeGrace played for Custodio, because I'm pretty sure the only time he played was when Custodio was pitching, and he would just catch.
Yeah, he didn't play very many games.
He was his personal catcher at the back end of the season.
And they both played together in Barrie, so that does make some sense.
Yeah.
3-2, fouled away. Nicholson was going on that pitch.
And DeGrace is a really, really smart baseball mind, really smart catcher, so it makes sense that when you have your best arm on the mound, you want to have your best defensive catcher behind the dish.
Custodio back in the league this year, too, after a few years in AAA, AA in the Baltimore Orioles system. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Here it comes. Runner going again. Swing and a miss. Cotton down on strikes. What an inning for Christian Mullen in the 8th. And now we head to the bottom of the inning. Baycats up 12-5. Hoping to add on to that. You're watching Baycats TV, Rogers TV in Barrie, and in Hamilton on Cable 14.
The Collingwood Brewery at 10 Sanford Fleming, producing delicious lagers, ales, and seltzers since 2014. The proud home of the Baycats Brew. Check out their retail shop and tap room and select products at the LCBO, beer store, and grocery stores. Cheers and go Baycats! VMF Sportswear, the official jersey provider of the Barrie Baycats. High-quality, pro-custom uniforms using only the best quality fabrics. Custom apparel, excellent customer service, and community support. VMF Sportswear, Canada's trusted sportswear brand.
2 out, runners lead. There they go. Here's the pitch. This one rocked to right field. Want to come to a Baycats game? Check out our tickets at barriebaycats.com.
Score at least 2. Tuck is in to score. Rio behind him. BarrieToday.com. Local news, weather, Baycat scores, and more. BarrieToday.com. Your community, your news.
Welcome back. It's the bottom of the 8th inning here at Vintage Throne Stadium with the Baycats leading the Hamilton Cardinals. Starlin Rodriguez will definitely be missed in this lineup. He has had a very nice career so far in the IBL, playing in parts of 3 seasons with the Baycats. Rodriguez has enjoyed a pair of championship runs with the team in 2018 and 2019. In his playoff career coming into this game, he was batting .315 with a home run, 27 RBI, and 5 extra base hits. So far in this series, he has 3 hits with an RBI in both the first 2 games. In fact, his RBI in Game 1 was his 100th in the IBL.
Well, congratulations to Starlin Rodriguez on that accomplishment. Unfortunately, leaving the game today, and it doesn't look good in terms of his timetable to return to the IBL this season. Count 0-1 to Adam Odd, or excuse me, 1-1 as we get back going here. Patrick Melbourne with you alongside Chris Lazar, IBL pitcher, and Sam O'Coin today. Pitch inside to Odd, 2-1. It was back and forth early with Hamilton scoring 2 runs in both of the first 2 innings, Barrie countering with 1 in each of the first 2. Barrie added 2 more in the bottom of the 4th, and then Hamilton added 1 in the top of the 6th. After that, all Barrie. 8 runs in the bottom of the 7th inning. Here's the 2-1 to Odd. Broken bat. Ground ball to second base. Lane Reno over to first, and that's a quick first out.
Nothing worse than breaking your bat on a ground ball in a 12-5 game.
Yeah, what if that was his favorite bat?
It's possible. That bat's had some hits in it the last couple days, so I'm sure he's sad to see it go.
Victor Pla's in. He came in as a defensive, or a pinch hitter, for James Anderson, and then defensive replacement over there at third base as Branfy Infante moved over there to left field. I mentioned in the caught over there at shortstop, Brandon Daly continues to do a good job. I mentioned in the game against Toronto that I went to the Point Streak roster page, and the top of the page wanted it to translate from Welsh. And we assumed it was one of the names, right? But now I'm on the Hamilton page, and it wants it to translate from Welsh. So,
interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. Either a lot of IBL players are Welsh,
I don't think so.
Point Streak has code somewhere that is triggering a translate from Welsh.
Based on my experiences with the Point Streak app, I'm going to go ahead and lean that Point Streak might be the problem.
That's a base hit to right field for Ryan Rio, and that'll bring up Dom Maria. Pinch hitting for Hayden Jaco.
Now pinch hitting for the Baycats, number 33, Dom Maria.
Dom Maria stands in for his first at-bat. Still facing Dylan Clement out there on the mound. 1 run on, 2 out. For the Cardinals in the top of the ninth, it'll be Tyler Duncan, Luis Bernardo, and Dennis DeBanning. Count 2-0 to Maria.
Quick update on the out-of-town scoreboard. Welland's up 12-4 now in the ninth inning of Game 1, so it looks like they're going to take a stranglehold on that series heading into Game 3 tonight.
They could finish that series tonight.
Yeah, not often you get to win 2 playoff games in one day. Only in the IBL.
2 balls, 1 strike. Swing and a miss. Even now at 2. And you were on that IBL preview show with Sam O'Coin and Neil Sriwastawa and a few of the other on-air and reporting voices of the IBL teams. And you did pick Welland to win that series, as did the panel.
As did everybody in the IBL.
2-2, got him. Maria down on strikes as they fight back from 3 balls to a strikeout. Heading to the ninth, Baycats trying to shut this down. Hamilton has one more chance on Baycats TV, Rogers TV in Barrie, and Cable 14 in Hamilton.
Yeah, I had the most awkward sorry on that preview show because
Premier North Windows and Doors is a proud supporter of the Barrie Baycats, locally owned and operated, and specializing in window replacement and door installation. Simcoe County's #1 choice for windows and doors. Classic Car Wash, customizing your car wash experience using high-quality products. Their team of experts will make sure your car is shining like new when you drive away. Give your car the VIP treatment it deserves at Classic Car Wash in Barrie. The Collingwood Brewery at 10 Sanford Fleming, producing delicious lagers, ales, and seltzers since 2014. The proud home of the Baycats Brew. Check out their retail shop and tap room and select products at the LCBO, beer store, and grocery stores. Cheers and go Baycats!
Hi, I'm Debbie Wilkes, owner of Insightful Living and licensed provider of Brain Echo Technology, which aims to calm and balance the brain. If any of these troublesome things are troubling you, then I'm talking to the appropriate person now.
Ninth inning brought to you by Expedia Cruises in Barrie. Tyler Duncan will lead things off. And it'll be Luis Bernardo and Dennis DeBanning behind him. Baycats have a 12-5 lead here in the top of the ninth inning. Christian Mullen back out there on the mound to finish this off for the Baycats. A chant of Baycats. First pitch is hit to left center field. That might find a gap. And it will find a gap. Go all the way to the wall. Picking it up and throwing it in is Brant Fianfonte. It's going to be a stand-up double for Tyler Duncan, who has as much power as anybody in the IBL. That'll bring up Luis Bernardo. By the way, Canisijo stayed in the game, which is very good news.
Yeah, that's good to see. It would have been really tough to lose 2 outfielders in the same game. Branfi is already playing left field, and he's obviously a natural third baseman.
Luis Bernardo, first pitch from Mullen up and in for a ball.
Yeah, tough afternoon for Luis Bernardo. 0 for 4 with a strikeout so far. Had a couple of blunders behind the dish as well. Let a ball go through his legs that caused the tying run to come across the plate.
He did, however, keep Brett Lawson from being ejected.
He did. And then he ended up striking out that batter anyway.
That's a base hit to left field, so runners will be on the corners with nobody out here in the ninth inning. And you do not want Hamilton to get the feeling of hope, even with a big lead. Every single inning, as we mentioned in the playoffs, are not enough games for any inning to be unimportant. So you need to nail this down and get that big win.
Yeah, if you're Hamilton right now, you want to find a way to get Mullen out of this game and force Barrie to use another pitcher that hopefully causes somebody to not be available on Tuesday.
Tuesday, which appears to be a bullpen day, ahead of either Game 5 or Round 2, Game 1, where they'll pitch Frank Garces. 0-1, Dennis DeBanning. Kicks, here it comes. And that's outside, 1-1.
If you're Barrie, you definitely still want to approach Game 4 with a sense of urgency to finish that series, because even though you do have Frank Garces in your back pocket in Game 5, anything can happen. We saw it last year with Guelph against Hamilton, where they had to go to a Game 5, and they had Claudio Custodio on the mound, who won the MVP last year.
On the ground and missed. Adam Odd misplays it. The runner will go home. The runner behind him will go to third. Still runners on the corners, nobody out, except now it's 12-6 instead of 12-5.
And yeah, Custodio pitched really well in that game, but then Jeffrey Nunez had to come in because Custodio was pitching on short rest. He couldn't finish his outing. So Hamilton was able to take advantage of that and ended up winning the series. So.
I would tend to agree with you. My first instinct was, well, Frank should probably throw Game 4 either way. But if Frank throws Game 4 and it doesn't go their way, then it's Juan in Game 5. And he's been good, but he has been less consistent than Frank over the last couple of seasons. So,
yes, but then you think of it from the perspective of, if you have 2 games to play, would you rather have Frank and then Juan Benitez, or would you rather have bullpen day and then Frank, where you're not even using Juan Benitez?
Well, it depends on how you feel about Brad Grieveson and Evan Souls that day. Right field. Tuck moving in, he makes the catch. Runner tags from third, and he's going to have to stay put. Great throw from Avery Tuck, who's got a good arm over there in right field. And there's one away. The runner moves up to second base.
Yeah, Evan Souls has shown flashes of his talent. He's clearly got a lot of talent, but with him, he is volatile. He's either really good or he's very not so good. And the Baycats have to hope that come Tuesday, the good side of Evan Souls comes out, which, if you're looking at his last outing in this series, is definitely encouraging. You'd have to think that he's feeling pretty good after that one.
There's a strike. Souls still a very, very young pitcher. Still only 20. It's easy to forget that, given how long he's been in the league now. Joined the Baycats in 2021 with the Josh Matlow era beginning. Here it comes. Up and away. Mentioned everybody behind the scenes. Should also mention Kyle Breeden up there in a variety of roles. Swing and a miss. A big thanks to all of our behind-the-scenes crew today. And we're excited for the whole postseason picture. And we're happy to be giving it back to the Hamilton crew for Game 4. Ray Duffy, Neil Sriwastawa, Jarrett Matthews, and the whole Cable 14 crew there. Strike 3. Underwood down on strikes. He doesn't like it. He's saying, hey, that wasn't my strike zone earlier, but Underwood doesn't make the strike zone. Ben Rosen does. So there's 2 out in the inning.
Second baseman number 6, Lane Renault.
So here's Renault. He represents the final out to win the game for the Baycats. But there's also 2 in scoring position here in the 9th inning, so Mullen's going to have to battle. Outside, ball 1. That game between Welland and Brantford. You mentioned it a little bit earlier that it was just about done. It is done now, 12-4 final. So Welland up 2-0 in that series, and they're going to get Game 3 going in just a little bit. Count 1-1 now to Lane Renault as Mullen finds the strike zone. Kicks, comes home. That's strike 2. Fans getting loud as the Hamilton Cardinals are down to their final strike. Kicks comes home, and that's just high. Game 4 is on Tuesday night, just after 7 o'clock against the Hamilton Cardinals at Bernie Arbor Stadium, Carstar Field. Cable 14 and Baycat and Rogers TV and Barrie. They got him! Lane Reno strikes out, and the Baycats take Game 3 and take a 2-1 lead in the playoff series. They win it 12-6.
Cardinals in the ninth, 1 run on 2 hits, 1 error, and with 2 left on base.
The Barrie Baycats celebrating on the field. They've won Game 3 12-6. They take a 2-1 lead in the series. Chris Lazar. And now it goes back to Hamilton, where these two teams will fight again.
Yeah, and it's all hands on deck for the Hamilton Cardinals now. Your back's against the wall. And the one thing about the Hamilton Cardinals, they've always been a scrappy team. You even saw them with less than ideal circumstances today. They had a lead going into the 7th inning, so Barrie knows it's not going to be easy. And usually when you're facing a team and their backs are against the wall, you're going to get their absolute best. And Barrie has to be ready for that, and they got to try to win that series on Tuesday night and not let things come back to Barrie for Game 5, because anything can happen in a Game 5.
An 8-run bottom of the 7th inning. All right, Game 4, you're up, Neil. And Reed Duffy, you guys handed it over to us for Game 3. We're handing it right back to you on Cable 14, Rogers TV and Barrie. It's going to be a fun Game 4. For Brian Backland, our producer, Juliet Mason, our production assistant, Sam O'Coin, our reporter, our whole behind-the-scenes game day crew, Chris Lazar, thanks so much for hopping in our broadcast today. I'm Patrick Melbourne. Have a fantastic rest of the day. Enjoy Game 4. We'll be back for a potential Game 5.